My 20M friend's 22M wants me to step aside so he can try to date my not girlfriend 18F. Relationships. TLDR, I've been sort of casually dating a girl on and off for 3 years. My friend, now also friends with her, recently told me he is in love with her and I should step aside so he can try his shot with her. A little over 3 years ago I had just gotten out of a relationship with a girl who was really abusive. I broke up with her shortly before I graduated high school and wanted to take some time to focus on myself. Of course, a few weeks after the breakup, I meet the most gorgeous girl I've ever met, and we really hit it off. I'll refer to her as L. She had also gotten out of an abusive relationship, so neither of us were looking for anything serious. At the time, my driver's license was suspended, too much speeding, bad time in my life, learned my lesson, and my friend, I'll call him K, would offer to drive me to see her. For a few months, we would mostly just all hang out together because we all got along really well, and she and I would mostly just cuddle up if we were all watching a movie. Sometimes we would sneak off for a few minutes to make out a little, but not long because we didn't want to be rude to K. L and K developed their own friendship during this time, but it was obviously platonic on both ends, like an older brother/younger sister dynamic. K also had a girlfriend of 4 years then, but they were hanging by a thread. After 6 months, I got my license back and I'd go see L/take her out without K. At that point L and I started having sex. We both really liked each other, but I panicked and sort of ghosted her for a few weeks. L and K continued talking, and he said he wasn't going to stop being friends with her because I was being an idiot. Fair enough. I realized I was being stupid and L agreed to see me again. We immediately picked right back up where we left off. Around this time K and his GF broke up, so I moved with him. I would go see L a few times a week and she would come to our place on the weekends and we would all hang out. That continued for several more months until she ghosted me for about 2 weeks. She told K she was afraid I would bail again and she didn't want to go through the pain again. We worked it out, but embarrassingly this cycle has since repeated once or twice. Not in over a year though. Over the last year, especially mostly since she turned 18, I've noticed K has acted differently around L. He'll flirt with her in front of me. She's very friendly with him, but does not flirt back and pulls away when he touches her. I told him I don't like it, but he said it doesn't matter if he flirts with her, she loves me. She says she doesn't feel that way about K at all, and everything indicates that's the truth. K has also started drinking more lately, and the other night L was not here he started whining about life not being fair. I took the bait and asked what was wrong, and he started rambling about how L is too good for me and I don't deserve her. I agree, but it still pissed me off. He then told me he is in love with her, has been for a while, and if I cared for either of them at all, I'd step aside so he could pursue her. I didn't want to argue with him while he was drunk, so I went to bed. I confronted him in the morning and he doubled down. He said that I can't commit, I can't give her what she wants, she isn't my girlfriend, she is fair game to try to date. Am I wrong for thinking this is messed up? L and I do have an unconventional relationship, I'll admit. We don't refer to each other as boyfriend/girlfriend, but we don't sleep with other people, we tell each other we love each other, she usually stays at my place, and we have a good relationship with each other's families. I think we're pretty happy together. I know she doesn't want to be with him, so I'm not worried about that, but since K said those things I can't help but question if I'm being unfair to L by holding her back with me. Edit. Info, I did tell L everything K said about her and our relationship immediately. She is not interested in him and he has been making her uncomfortable. Also, because it's been asked a few times, L and I have always been on the same page as far as labeling our relationship. And I'm aware that she is her own person and can be with whomever whenever. K is the only one treating this as some competition. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. LOL, this woman can make her own decisions. He's treating her like an object. You couldn't give her to him even if you wanted to. You should tell her what happened and distance yourself from him. Reply. I agree, she's her own person and can make her own decisions regardless of our title. I did tell her what he said, and she's very uncomfortable with it. She's always thought of him as more of a brother. Commenter 2. Then that's all you have to do. You should distance yourself from your friend, but if he brings it up again, tell him to go for it and you'll abide by her decision if she breaks it off with you. Then watch her shoot him down herself. Commenter 3. Fuck K. That man is not being your friend right now, or hers. Either tell him you won't step aside at all or just ignore him when he brings it up again. And also, you're still living with him, right? This kind of behavior plus frequent drinking, honestly, I'd be wary around him when he's drunk. Reply. I agree. Still living with him, but looking for a new situation now. Commenter 4. Well, K probably won't make any progress with her, but do you two just not sleep with other people, or have you had a conversation about being exclusive? Because K isn't the one you should be worried about if you're not exclusive. She's at an age where she's surrounded by interesting people she finds attractive. If she wants explicit exclusion and you won't give it to her, she will find it somewhere else sooner or later. If she's happy, then continue on like you are, but know you might lose her one day because of your loose understanding. And if she's not happy, then maybe talk to her and find out what would make her happy, and then figure out if that will also make you happy, and if you two can't line up, I'd suggest you break up. Reply. When we started sleeping together, we did have a conversation and agreed we didn't want to sleep with or date other people, but we also didn't want to put a label on our relationship. We do discuss it occasionally and have always been on the same page, but we have gotten a lot more serious in the last year. The more I type it out, the dumber it seems to not make things more official though. K is obviously free to try his luck, but she has said she's not interested. If anything, he'll just mess up his friendship with her. Commenter 5. Yes, his comments were messed up and inappropriate to say to the friend who is dating this girl he's talking about. You're not being unfair to L by dating the girl you're interested in, regardless of your rocky history. Relationships aren't all fairy tales, but you and her have put in the time and emotional work to get yours to the state that it's in now. If he's making her uncomfortable, then she needs to tell him that, and he needs to back off. Reply. Thank you. It bothers me that he's known the whole history of our relationship, knows how she and I feel about each other and how long it's taken to get here, and it feels like he's trying to psych me out of it or something. Commenter 6. You need to be dead straight with him. She is not interested, feel free to confirm that with her yourself. You are disrespecting both of us, and you will lose both of our friendships if you don't stop being an ass. Reply. This morning I did talk to him again and told him what she had said to me with her permission, which was essentially that his advances have been making her uncomfortable, and if he wants to maintain any friendship with us, then he's got to roll things back to how they used to be. He said he won't believe it until he hears her say it herself, without me around. I'm conflicted on that because I don't want to come across as controlling, but also worry about his reaction when she rejects him. Final update. I have been staying with L for about a week now, since the initial confrontation with K, and thanks to people here, I was sure I wanted to ask her if she wanted to make things more official. She ended up making things even easier for me, as luck would have it. L asked me if it might make things easier if I just told K that she was my girlfriend. I jumped on that opportunity and asked if I could tell everyone she is my girlfriend, and she said yes. She and I are going to look at a few apartments this week, since I obviously need a new living situation, and we want to move in together. K and I had a few brief discussions after he told me he wanted to be with L. I had told her everything K had said to me, and she was not the least bit interested in him, which I had assumed. I also told him that she is officially my girlfriend now, so that should satisfy his concerns about me not committing to her. He refused to believe any of it without confirmation from her, in person, without me around. She initially agreed to meet with him on Sunday, with the plan that they would meet at her house since she lives with her mom and stepdad, but he rejected that, saying he wanted to meet at the apartment, without me there. She told him she wasn't comfortable with that. If he wanted to meet up without me or her parents there, they at least had to be somewhere public. He got pissed that his threatening behavior made her feel threatened and went on a tirade, called her every name in the book. She told him she wasn't going to see him again at all and blocked his number. He has tried reaching out to me a few times, ranging from sad to aggressive, and I'm about a text or two away from blocking him as well. Hopefully he'll just move on and it won't come to that. Again, thank you to the posters who helped me navigate this situation. TL, L is now officially my girlfriend and we are going to move in together. K made unreasonable requests when L agreed to discuss their friendship, then blew up at her, so she ended up blocking him. Edit. To clarify, we both wish him well, but neither of us want to continue a friendship with him under any circumstances. Since posting this, I have also blocked him. I agree with posters that there is no point in keeping any lines of communication open anymore. I have also reached out to some friends to help get the rest of my stuff out, but I was already able to get everything important when I first left. He can make a shrine out of my old shirts if he really wants. Small update from Oop in the comments. Okay, so my stuff is out, thanks to two of my friends, who are also friends of K. They tried ahead of time to convince K to leave so we could get everything out without him, but it wasn't happening. K said he wanted to make sure I didn't mess with his stuff, which is ironic, since he tried messing with my relationship. Friend A then offered to act as a buffer so friend B and I could get my stuff out. When we first got to the apartment, K was obviously drunk but calm and seemed almost apologetic. I had already decided I wasn't going to engage with him at all, because I don't see the point anymore. He did not like being ignored apparently and started going off, gradually saying worse and worse shit. He started saying shit about L, but I was able to ignore him and let it roll off my back until he told me I might need to fuck her up and get her in line. He knows her ex before me was abusive. I'm very thankful my friends were able to get me out of there quickly, because I have never been so angry like that in my life. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Dude, this guy is a creep and it sounds like he wanted to do something bad to L when they were alone tbh. Just cut him out of your life. Reply. I agree. I understood him not wanting me in the room, or getting his heart broken in the middle of a Starbucks or something, but him rejecting her parents' house when they've always been friendly with him was a big red flag for us. Commenter 2. I think you need to drop this friend at this point. He obviously isn't as good of a guy that you thought he was. Choose your GF, not the guy that seems to want to sexually assault her. Reply. I don't even think I'm going back to the apartment to get the rest of my stuff. I hope he's able to get his life together, but I can't help him at this point. If he does try to contact her again, then she's going to try to get a restraining order. I've also told mutual friends what is happening and that he can't know where a new apartment will be under any circumstances. Commenter 3. Gained girlfriend. New exciting living together stage of life planned. Identified deadweight weirdo for removal from life. I mean, it has been stressful but the outcomes are all actually long-term positives. If it hadn't been this, K's nasty side would have shown up some other way. Reply. I think the week of turmoil will be worth it, in the long run. I agree about K, too. I really don't think he was always like this, but his drinking has gotten out of control and he's always sucked when he's drunk. He's just usually drunk now. Commenter 4. Start documenting every single interaction you have with K, every time he tries to reach out to either one of you or your family members or whatever. Seriously. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who is going to go away easily. Reply. Thank you, I will start documenting more thoroughly. I do have screenshots of his texts to her, but I need to make a better log of it all. Commenter 5. Okay, K is a fucking asshole, excuse my language, but there's no other way to describe it. I wouldn't physically fight K, but I would let him know straight up what he said to L is uncalled for. As for your relationship, congratulations for taking it to the next level. It seems like L has genuinely been wanting this for a while and you had the courage to make it official. As for K, after you have told him your piece, neither of you should ever get in contact with that douchebag again. He's not even a friend, look at his behavior towards you and L. He has no respect. That's not a friend or a person you should be around. Be happy with the lovely lady you're with and build great memories. Wish you two the best. Reply. Thanks. It's taken a lot of restraint to not fight him, honestly. I think that might be part of his game though. I do think you're right, she's probably been wanting this for a while but didn't want to rock the boat. I feel bad I didn't catch on sooner, but I'm glad it's working out now. And we will avoiding all contact with K in the future. Stories number 2. My brother thought he could live in my house for free while I work abroad. A few years ago I bought my own place. A small condo in a decent area. I worked non-stop to make it happen. Saved every bit I could, lived frugally, skipped trips, and passed on new stuff just to hit my goal. No one helped me pay for it. Not my parents, not my brother, no one. Recently I got a job opportunity abroad. Better pay, better career path, but it means I'll be away for a year or more. The plan was simple. While I'm gone, I'd rent out my place either through a long-term lease or Airbnb. It's a good location and I knew I could make extra money from it. Enter my brother. Let me be clear. This guy has no job, no drive, nothing going on. Still living at home at 28, plays video games all day, complains about how life's unfair but won't lift a finger to change anything. The moment he hears I'm leaving, he tells me he'll just move into my place. He says it makes sense since I won't be using it and we're family. He acts like it's already decided. I told him no. I didn't work my ass off just to hand over my home to someone who won't even pay rent or clean up after himself. He didn't take it well. Tried to guilt me by bringing up family. Told our parents. They tried to pressure me too, still said no. I didn't bust my ass for years so someone else could enjoy the results for free. I'm not about to let someone irresponsible treat my home like a crash pad. I'm overseas now. My place is up on Airbnb and already bringing in money. My brother is still mad. My parents think I'm cold, but you know what I think. If someone wants something, they can work for it like the rest of us. Family or not. Comments. Commenter 1. Your parents just want to get rid of him. Commenter 2. Tell your parents he's their golden child, not yours. Commenter 3. Good job. Stick to your guns and don't let but family pressure you. This sounds like a golden child situation and it's not you. All the more reason not to give in. You do have someone to manage, clean up, and secure the property. ESP, secure freeloader brother. Commenter 4. My mother assumed my unemployed brother could move into her room in our co-owned house when she went to Florida for 6 months. Nope, nope. Lazy, unemployed, messy and a bully to boot. I lost my shit and made her rescind the offer. I got that house to myself for 6 glorious months a year. Stories number 3. My wedding is on the 25th but now my fiancé says he isn't sure if we should get married. My wedding is supposed to happen 20 days from now. However, my fiancé says he is not sure if he can go through with it. IF28 have tried to help him M30 figure out if he's just having normal pre-wedding nerves or cold feet, but he says he doesn't know. He swears he's not having an affair or hiding anything from me, but he isn't sure if we should go through with the wedding. We have people coming from all over the province. But he's second-guessing getting married and I'm not even sure what to do. We have been together for 4 years. We have lived together for 2 years and been engaged for over a year. He's never displayed any problems with commitment. I've never had to give him any ultimatums or push him along when it comes to moving forward in our relationship. Up until 8 days ago he was enthusiastic about our wedding and us looking for a house. We haven't had any other big changes to our lives or any bad news recently, so I don't know where his hesitation is coming from. No family problems either. Each of our families love the other and are excited about the wedding. I love him and this is scaring me because he won't even tell me why he suddenly feels this way. The wedding is supposed to be on the 25th and he's refusing to let me in or help him figure out his feelings. I don't even know what to do now. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. If he won't talk to you or deal with this appropriately, then I think you should appreciate that he is showing you who he really is. If he is unable to be an adult about this issue, he will never be able to deal with the much more difficult and serious issues that come up in married life. You are fortunate to learn this now instead of after you get married. It's time to tell him to get on the phone today and call both sets of your parents and tell them that he is canceling the wedding because he has decided he is unsure about getting married and doesn't know why. I hope they aren't going to be out a lot of money. If they are, he needs to reimburse them. And, don't you even think about making excuses for him. He's jerked you around long enough. Next, he needs to call each guest and let them the same thing. These guests are spending time and money. He needs to give them as much advanced notice as possible. He also needs to cancel all the vendors and pay for your personal out-of-pocket. This is on him for waiting way too long and not having any kind of explanation. Stop babying him. That time is past. It's time to start mitigating the damages. Reply. Just want to clarify that there are no parents to call. Neither of us have any living parents. Also, no one else paid for our wedding, him and I paid for everything ourselves. Apologies for any confusion, I didn't say anything about our parents or someone else paying for our wedding in my post, so I wanted to clarify. Thank you for replying. Top comment. Commenter. You do know that marrying someone who feels like this about their upcoming wedding is a terrible idea, right? Update. My update is that I didn't get married, my relationship is over and I'm blocking him and moving out tomorrow. I want to thank everyone who left supportive comments on my last post. They were appreciated. Whenever IF28 asked him M30 if he thought it was cold feet, did something happen etc., he always just said he didn't know. We had guests driving in from all over the province, so the day after my post I told everyone the wedding was postponed. Fortunately, anyone who isn't local was able to cancel their hotel reservations without penalty and everyone got a refund from what they bought off our registry. I would have felt horrible if any of our guests had lost money over this. I suggested we go to counseling to figure this out. He agreed, but then on the day of our first appointment he said he was fine to get married, and when we went to the appointment he told the therapist I overreacted by canceling the wedding and blamed me for all the money we lost. The venue and all of our vendors had 30-day cancellation clauses and he didn't start saying we shouldn't get married until after the cancellation deadline. After how he acted at the appointment I knew I couldn't marry him. He was shocked when I refused to renew our lease together and said I was moving out. I try not to care what anyone thinks, but at least all of our family and friends think he was unreasonable and don't blame me. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Canceling a wedding is expensive, but divorce is more expensive. And painful. You did the right thing. Commenter 2. This is what really frosts my cookies. He told the therapist I overreacted by canceling the wedding and blamed me for all the money we lost. The venue and all of our vendors had 30-day cancellation clauses, and he didn't start saying we shouldn't get married until after the cancellation deadline. So, dude was having cold feet but is now pissed because she rightly canceled the wedding and they lost money? That makes no sense. What did he expect, that they'd just press on ahead? What an idiot. Commenter 3. My guess is he wanted her to grovel/go into the marriage feeling insecure and easy to manipulate. Instead she pulled the badass boss move and now he's got nothing and is down money. Smells like justice. Final comments. Commenter 4. This can't be it. Something is still wrong. Reply. This can't be it. What do you mean? My relationship with him is over. I've blocked him, I'm moving out and moving on with my life. Something is still wrong. How can something be wrong when our relationship is over? And even if there is something wrong with him, it's no longer my problem. Update me. There won't be any further updates because my relationship with him is over and he's out of my life as of today. Stories number 4. Aita for walking out of my boyfriend's place at 2 a.m. after he let his friends disrespect me and stayed silent. My boyfriend invited a few of his friends over to drink and hang out. I came straight from work and wasn't exactly in party mode, but I tried to be chill. The vibes were weird from the start. His guy friend kept making jokes about how my boyfriend finally settled down with a bossy one, and another one said I seemed high maintenance because I brought my own oat milk. I laughed it off at first, but it didn't stop. One of the girls, I think she used to hook up with my boyfriend, said something like, I don't know how you deal with her, she seems like a lot. Right in front of me. I looked at my boyfriend expecting him to say something, but he just smirked and kept sipping his beer. I waited a bit, hoping he'd check them or at least change the subject. He didn't. I felt so small, like I was the joke and he was okay with it. After another comment about how I probably forced my boyfriend into a relationship, I just stood up, grabbed my stuff, and left. Didn't say anything, just walked out. It was 2 a.m. He texted an hour later asking if I was okay, and this morning he's acting like I overreacted. Says they were just joking and I took it too personally. I told him that if he can't stand up for me when people are blatantly disrespecting me, then what am I even doing there? They were drinking, maybe it wasn't that deep. But I also feel like I deserve better than being the punchline at someone else's table while my boyfriend laughs along. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. He let them disrespect you right to your face and didn't say a word. That's not joking, that's just rude. If he can't speak up for you in front of his friends, that says a lot. You did the right thing walking out. Reply. If he can't even defend me in front of his friends, that tells me everything I need to know. I wasn't gonna sit there and be disrespected like it's normal. Commenter 2. NTA. Don't stick around for more of this. Your boyfriend doesn't respect you one iota, hopefully you have enough self-respect to leave him in the dust. How old are you both? Why would these people think these things about you? Sounds like boyfriend has been doing some complaining about you behind your back. This might even be a really gutless way for him to break up with you. Reply. I didn't want to believe he'd talk about me behind my back, but the way his friends acted felt way too personal. It's giving coward move, honestly. I'm 26, he's 27. Just wild how fast someone can show you who they really are. Commenter 3. NTA. Huge red flag for being friends with people who are that disrespectful to women. He prob does the same thing when you're not around. He is a very disrespectful, you don't deserve to be the butt of everyone's jokes, and that is the worst feeling in the world, and I'm sorry. Find someone who respects you, update us please. Reply. Yeah, it really opened my eyes. The way he just sat there while they made fun of me was the final straw. I felt small, and he didn't care. I'm definitely done. I'll post an update soon. Commenter 4. NTA. You deserve better than to have these clowns put you down to your face. Reply. I couldn't believe he just sat there while they joked at my expense. I'm not sticking around for that kind of disrespect. Stories number 5. My coworker's boyfriend showed up at our office and accidentally exposed their entire relationship. Drama. I swear, sometimes I feel like working a 9 to 5 is just unpaid access to a real-life soap opera. So here's what happened. Last Thursday, we were all at the office like normal. I'm in marketing, and Thursdays are usually our chill days. Nobody's stressing, everyone's doing light admin work or fake working while pretending to update spreadsheets. Around 2 p.m., a man walks into our office. Not a client. Not someone from IT. Not even wearing a visitor badge. He's holding a bouquet and a big-ass paper bag from some trendy overpriced sushi place. Everyone kind of stops what they're doing. And then I realize, he's walking straight toward Maya's desk. Maya is our social media manager. Super cool girl. Always dressed like a Pinterest board, super sweet, the type who remembers your coffee order after hearing it once. Anyway, she looks confused when she sees him. Not in an babe, what a surprise way, more like why are you here and why do you look so proud of yourself? He gets to her desk, sets the food and flowers down, and goes, happy first anniversary, baby. I wanted to do something special since you're working late. Y'all, you could feel the air get sucked out of the room, because Maya wasn't working late. None of us were. And also, she never mentioned a boyfriend. Not once, she just kind of stares at him. Then, and I will never forget this, she says, you need to leave. Now, and he's just standing there, confused, still holding a dumb smile on his face like he's the main character. He goes, wait, what? She gets up, physically takes his arm, and tries to lead him toward the door. He resists. Not like violently or anything, but just awkwardly pulling back like a kid who doesn't want to leave the toy aisle. That's when things go off. He says loud enough for the whole floor to hear. You said you were working until 9. Why are you acting like I'm doing something wrong? Are you with someone else? Maya freezes. Some dude from sales ducks down behind a desk. She sighs, like, deep, soul sigh, and goes, I told you not to show up here. You're embarrassing me. Go home. He goes, no. Not until you tell me what's going on. At this point, HR is already halfway down the hallway, probably praying this doesn't turn into a write-up situation. And then Maya snaps. She straight up says, okay, fine. You want honesty? I don't love you anymore. I haven't for months. I've been trying to find the right time to tell you, but you forced it. So congrats. Now go. The man just blinks. His hands drop to his sides like someone unplugged him. He walks out without another word. The flowers stay on her desk. She doesn't move them. Just sits down and opens Slack like she didn't just publicly break a man's heart in HD. We all sat there pretending to work, but let's be honest, no one was working. Later that afternoon, she finally gets up, picks up the flowers, and drops them in the trash. Doesn't even blink. She came back to her desk, looked over at me, I sit across from her, and said, you ever just outgrow someone and not realize it until they do something wildly inconvenient? I said, can't say I have. But I respect it. She nodded, put her headphones in, and that was that. Comments. Commenter 1. That is a dramatic story. The poor guy to be publicly humiliated like that. The girl sounds a bit cold. The guy made a dignified exit, at least. Reply. Yeah, it was rough to watch. She came off cold, but I think she just snapped under pressure. Props to him, though, he took that hit and walked out with his head up. Commenter 2. The dude dodged a huge bullet. He'll see that soon enough. She'll end up getting the same thing thrown back at her. She sounds like the type that drama will just follow, and she'll never understand why. Reply. Facts. He walked in with sushi and left with emotional damage. She handled it like a business transaction, zero emotion. Drama might just be her default setting. Commenter 3. Gutless months ago. Right time. Dating Chad from sales, gutless human. Commenter 4. What a bitch. Reply. I get why you'd feel that way, it came off cold in the moment. But honestly, watching it play out up close, it felt more like someone who had already mentally checked out and was just done. No sugarcoating, no fake tears. Just brutal honesty. Still messy though, for sure. Stories number 6. My MIL threatened grandparent rights before I was pregnant. Now I am, and I'm terrified. I've debated on posting this story for years, but now the very reason my husband cut off his mom is about to resurface and I'm not a calm cucumber. My husband 30M and I 31F have been together for 5 years. From the start, it felt right. We moved quickly, we've built a life we love, and he is truly the best partner I could ask for. But early on, it became clear that one part of his life wasn't going to fit easily into ours. From day one, his mom didn't like me. It was never outright aggression, just a coldness. Distance. Over time I realized it wasn't really about me, it was about her having a hard time letting go of her son. When we moved closer to her town, she started wanting to hang out multiple times a week. And it wasn't just wanting time, it was the way she clung to him in public, physically hung on him, begged for compliments. It made both of us uncomfortable, but it took time for him to even recognize it as a boundary issue. We tried therapy, we tried conversations, and for a while, I took on the emotional labor by fielding her texts, spending time with her when he couldn't, trying to smooth things over. He was overwhelmed by it all. But the more I stepped in, the worse it got. I have celiac disease, and despite me being clear about it, she regularly cooked food with gluten. Gluten-free meals that weren't, cornbread she swore was safe. I got sick constantly until I stopped eating anything she made. I could manage by just not accepting food from her, and when that happened she escalated in a way that still makes me pause. There were strange phone calls. One where she insisted someone had broken into her house and begged me to come over with my firearm alone while my husband was at work. She didn't want the police involved and she wouldn't be there. That was the first time I felt a gut-level fear. My husband told me not to go. Then came a string of illnesses. Always after I'd seen her like clockwork. I'd be violently sick, vomiting, intense stomach pain, dizziness, complete brain fog. It happened so often I started tracking it. One night, curled up in the bathtub because it was closer to the toilet, I told my husband, "I'm going to say something and I know it sounds insane." He looked at me and said, "I think I already know what you're about to say." We both had the same thought, that something wasn't right. That maybe she was doing something. I had stopped eating around her, but I still accepted drinks, water, wine, juice. That stopped too. And just like that, the sickness stopped. But the long-term effects didn't. I ended up with partial paralysis in my colon. No clear cause. We've wondered if it was some form of heavy metal exposure, but we never tested anything. I know a lot of people will say why. But when you're living in a real-life 48 hours episode, there's always that deniability of, is this really happening? Could it all be just a big coincidence? My husband and I agreed that after 10+ times and the history of prior events, it likely wasn't. Still, we didn't cut contact right away. The final straw came before our wedding. My husband tried to set one last boundary. She fought it, guilt-tripped him, and when he explained that her behavior wouldn't be okay once we had kids, she threatened to pursue grandparent rights. Not legally likely per our attorney to hold up in our state, but the threat itself crossed a line. He went no contact after our wedding. It was hard for him, but the peace we've had since then has been real. And now, 2 years later, I'm pregnant. We're having a boy. And we haven't told his family yet. We're planning to announce it soon. But I know she's going to find out. She hasn't known anything about us for years. We moved to a new home and purchased a service to scrub our personal information from the internet. Neither of us have social media. But this will be her only grandchild. And the thought of her finding out is making my stomach turn. My husband seems to be calm about it. But I can't stop imagining how far she might go. What she might try. We've lived this before, and I don't want to live through it again. This time, with a baby involved. Only a few people know the whole story. My dad, my best friend, our wedding photographer who we told to keep an eye out for anything weird at our wedding since I didn't want to get ill that night, and a therapist we saw briefly. My husband tried so hard to make his relationship with his mom work through communication and compromise. He never once made me feel like this was at all my fault, even though it seemed like our relationship was a catalyst for this behavior. So, don't anyone dare come for my sweet man. This next chapter of our life is supposed to be joyful. But in the background, there's this quiet, gnawing fear. Because I know what she's capable of. And I don't think she's going to stay gone. Help. Advice? Update. To clarify some questions that have come up, I would first like to thank everyone who gave productive advice. We have cameras in our Amazon shopping cart, an email out to our attorney who wrote our original wills to add more detail and include our soon-to-be son, and blocked MIL. We also have a much better plan moving forward for future considerations. I will add a new update if anything else crazy transpires in the future. I will not entertain anyone who says something negative about my husband. And I'm not sure why people think he will revisit the relationship. I am not in danger. As a celiac, I have had many people gluten me on accident, restaurants included. These events were not in the same day but over the course of a single year where I consistently encouraged my husband to maintain contact with his mom. It is his MOM. There are toxic mother-in-laws, we know this, but we thought by trying different tactics we could deal with it. All of this is my summarization of events after we connected the dots and put everything together, but there is so much more complexity that real life has to offer outside of this short synopsis. I have celiac, so it wasn't far off for us to think I was just having stomach issues. With time, consistencies, and worsening of symptoms, it started with me considering it was a possibility, verifying that I was not crazy and it was not coincidences, and then saying something to my partner. We both came to the conclusion around the same time. Y'all got the cliff notes after we mapped it all out. In real time it didn't feel this clear-cut, believe it or not. Again, thank you to everyone who was helpful. And to everyone else, keep doing your thing and maybe one day you'll find happiness and peace. Comments. Commenter 1. Grandparents' rights are given to people who have already had an established relationship with child or the parents are divorced, one parent is dead. Your mother-in-law has no standing. Commenter 2. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they could only go for grandparent rights if they already has an established relationship, so if you are already no contact and remain no contact she has no leg to stand on. But not 100% sure. Reply. This was a huge reason in my husband cutting contact. He didn't want her to have any reason to be able to claim it if she were to go that far. Commenter 3. Consult an attorney. Grandparents' rights are very limited and only apply to certain circumstances. Also, get a home security system with cameras. An order of protection and/or a restraining order is probably going to be needed in your future. Make your doctors, hospitals and daycares are notified that no one else is to get information or be allowed to access or be allowed to pick up the child. Reply. Didn't think about notifying daycares and doctors. Really good point. Commenter 4. Yeah, it's unlikely a court would give her anything. They very well may give you a restraining order, though, if she re-enters your lives without your consent. Reply. I'm not proud of it, but the other month I did ask my husband about this. If she starts showing up again such as school or sporting events when they get older, if he would be willing to pursue a restraining order. He is on board with it, which was reassuring. Stories number 7. Aita for not permitting my landlord's visiting partner's physical therapy clients access to my in-suite bathroom. Hi all. I am currently living in a house share. My landlord is in the armed forces, and is rarely home on leave. My main living space is a small bedroom, with a full bath attached. I have 2 indoor-only cats who have the run of the downstairs when he is not here. I was just told 2 weeks ago that on his next return, he will be bringing his partner from Europe to visit. I am fine with that. What I am not fine with is the fact that she will be holding physical therapy sessions with disabled children in the house during her visit. The problem is, my in-suite is the only toilet facilities on the ground floor, and they expect to have use of it. I am on several controlled medications, which are not under lock and key, and a lot of personal valuables in the attached bedroom. To make matters even worse, I have a guest coming from the States that week, and I will not be home every day to escort people in and out. There is no door or divider between my bedroom and the bathroom. The cat's large scratch tree is behind the entrance door to my bedroom, so it doesn't open fully. Their litter tray is in my in-suite bathroom. There is nowhere else that these things can logically go, or even fit. This area is not even wheelchair accessible, for this reason. In regards to my visitor, he has a rare brain cancer, and this is his bucket list trip, that we have been planning for many years. I haven't seen anyone from back home, in over a decade. He will not be staying here, as he has booked a hotel room. My landlord is not careful about leaving doors and windows wide open, and this house is situated along a busy highway. I do not want to risk my pets escaping, strangers stealing my belongings, or children getting into my pain and psych meds, while I'm not here to chaperone. My landlord's partner will be holding these clinics for 6 days, for approximately 4 hours per day. This does not fit into my holiday itinerary. I've only lived at this property for 2 months. I recently escaped a terrible domestic situation, and I came here expecting peace and privacy, to heal. So here I am, I'm suddenly and unexpectedly inconvenienced with having the private space that I pay a lot of money to rent, encroached upon, on top of medical and mental health issues, and entertaining a friend with terminal cancer. I was not even told of this inconvenience being a possibility, when I signed the rental agreement. There is so much more to this situation, but I cannot elaborate as per this subreddit's rules. The bottom line is, am I overreacting? Comments. Commenter 1. He will be bringing his partner from Europe to visit. She will be holding physical therapy sessions with disabled children in the house during her visit. WTF. Why in God's name is a European treating disabled children with physical therapy while on a visit with her boyfriend? Like, that sounds all kinds of illegal. How's she find these kids? Who would take their kid to a person's house for therapy? My landlord's partner will be holding these clinics for 6 days, for approximately 4 hours per day. Call the local health board/commission/department. There is zero way this is kosher. Commenter 2. So, your landlord's partner isn't from your area and is visiting and somehow found clients to do physical therapy in a random person's home rather than a professional setting? This sounds pretty sus and unrealistic. Especially since you also randomly have a friend with brain cancer visiting at the same time. Commenter 3. NTA, if it's not in the lease, the answer is no. You should also get a lock on your bedroom door. Also, someone showing up internationally and doing physical therapy session is pretty damn weird. Does she have a license? Is the building zoned for business? Who are these random kids? Reply, I have no idea, in regards to any of the fine details. I've never even met his partner. This is the wrong foot to start out on, with me. Stories number 8. Aita for refusing to let my kid attend a sleepover because I don't trust the parents. Update. Thanks to everyone who weighed in, I read every comment, even the spicy ones. A lot has happened since I posted, and I wanted to give an update. So, after I told my daughter she could hang out during the day but not stay the night, she was still really upset. I ended up having a longer conversation with her about why I made the decision not just a flat because I said so, and she actually opened up a bit more. Turns out, her friend had told her about another sleepover where they watched a really scary R-rated horror movie, and one of the kids got so scared they wanted to call their parents but the adults weren't around. That confirmed everything I was already worried about. I texted the mom back politely but firmly, saying that I didn't feel comfortable with an overnight yet and that it wasn't personal, just something I take seriously as a parent. She left me on read. The day of the party, I dropped my daughter off around 3 p.m. and picked her up around 8. She said she still had fun, and even admitted she was kind of glad she didn't stay over because it got really loud and a little weird. Apparently, a few of the kids were playing pranks on each other and someone ended up crying. So, yeah, I'm glad I trusted my gut. Maybe I was being cautious, but honestly, better safe than sorry. Still not sure if I'm the cool mom, but at least I'm the safe one. Comments. Commenter 1. Anytime a parent gives off weird vibes, trust that. Your instincts exist for a reason. Good call. Reply. Yeah, the vibe check failed hard with the dad. I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt but, nope. Commenter 2. Not to be dramatic, but any house where the parents don't supervise movie time for 10-year-olds is a no from me. You did the right thing. Reply. Same. I don't want to be that mom, but also, I'm not about to deal with nightmares or trauma because someone thought The Conjuring was fine. Commenter 3. I especially liked that you took the time to explain it to your daughter. There were many times my mom told me no, but not why. I just wish she had told me the reasons for things, rather than letting me come to erroneous conclusions. Commenter 4. NTA my mom said no to a sleepover when I was a little kid because the parents didn't pass the vibe check. I thank my lucky stars she said no. The other two girls who stayed the night said the dad stared at them all night and then accidentally walked into the room while the girls were changing. Reply. That's exactly the kind of thing I'm worried about. I don't want to take any chances just to be the cool parent. Kids don't always see red flags, but we do. Thank you for sharing this. Validated everything I was feeling. Stories number 9. I got harassed by a cop this morning for sleeping in my car, even though I was legally parked. This morning around 7 a.m., I was asleep in my car in a legal parking area in Florida. I have a clean, newer car with tinted windows and a windshield cover. I don't leave trash or make noise. I'm a woman sleeping alone, trying to stay safe. A cop knocked on my window and looked at me with absolute disgust. He said, "You cannot be sleeping in your car," in a tone that made me feel like I was doing something dirty or criminal. And I just want to ask, what do they expect me to do instead? Go sleep on the sidewalk? On the floor where there's garbage and animal feces? Would that be more acceptable? This is terrible. I'm upset. Sleeping in your car isn't illegal in Florida if you're legally parked, and I was. But beyond legality, what's broken is the way people in power treat you. I wasn't harming anyone. I was surviving. Quietly. Cleanly. I shower every day. I keep my car spotless. I have a job. I make sure no one can even tell I sleep in my car. And still, I get treated like trash. Like I'm some kind of threat, just for existing in a way that doesn't make people comfortable. The system says shelters are the solution, but we all know many of them are unsafe, overcrowded, or simply unavailable. For a woman, especially, sleeping in a locked car is far safer than sleeping in a shelter where you risk harassment or worse. So I'm asking honestly, what's the point of a law that criminalizes the safest option some people have? Why does survival have to come with so much shame? Has anyone else experienced this? How do you handle it? Comments. Commenter 1. I once pulled over in a rest area off the highway on a long road trip to rest because I was close to falling asleep on the road. I had a cop knock on my car window less than 2 hours later and tell me I couldn't sleep there. I always wondered what the alternative was, that I fall asleep on the drive and endanger everyone. If I was pulled over driving, wouldn't they have suggested I pull over at the rest stop as the name implies? I feel like sometimes they just want to harass people for no good reason. Commenter 2, have you looked around for local places that have safe parking lots for sleeping? There is a church where I live that offers their private parking lot to sleep in overnight so you can stay unbothered. Sometimes they hand out free breakfast to anyone who stays overnight. It might be worth asking around on your local FB pages or Reddit to see if there's anything like that in your area just so you don't get harassed again. Reply, I stay where I work. I think looking for a camping area in Florida will about 40 miles away from my work. Stories number 10. Aita for still getting on a flight home when my two young co-workers I was traveling with weren't at the airport yet and were obviously going to miss it. TLDR, went on a work trip with two junior employees not on my team and they missed the flight home because they went sightseeing the day we were leaving. I still got on flight even though they weren't at the airport. Long version. This past week I was presented with an industry award in Nashville that an agency partner nominated me for. I am a director at my company. My co decided to send two junior-level employees to the event as well because they thought it would be a good experience for them, a specialist who has been with us a little over a year 25F, first job out of college and a summer intern 21F, rising senior. They are not on my team report up through separate VP and I have very limited with them in daily work life. They were very excited to be going. This was going to be the specialist's first time on a plane, lots of Teams chats asking what to wear, etc. We were flying in Thursday morning and leaving Friday evening so it was a very short trip, but I tried to help share info about the event types of attendees, awards reception/presentation Thursday night with a country western theme, then I was speaking on a panel Friday morning. There's so much I could say, but I'll try to highlight key points. Specialist barely made Thursday AM flight because she doesn't have a real ID and had to do extra screening. She had no idea what a real ID was, or the basic rules of flying liquid restrictions, etc. She was very upset they made her throw away some of her skincare that was over 3 ounces. Thursday night event was country western theme, and while a majority of people there were business casual, intern shows up in a bandana tube top, micro skirt, cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. I pulled her aside and asked if she wanted to run upstairs and change since it was still a business event, but she said she was fine and she thought she looked cute and on theme. After ceremony I invite them to join me with some colleagues I knew from other companies in the hotel bar, but they tell me they want to check out Broadway. I make a face and say this would be a good networking opportunity. They make come on mom jokes, and so I tell them to be safe and remind them the time and location of first session the next day. Text them around 11 p.m. that I hope they got back safe, no response. Went to bed. Text them the next morning offering to meet them for coffee before morning sessions, no response. No idea if they actually attended any sessions or saw my panel, but I did find them in the hotel lobby afterward looking incredibly hungover. Have about 2 hours after event is over and before we need to go to the airport, I invite them to late lunch with our agency partners. They decline because they want to go to the Country Music Hall of Fame. Again, make a face and say I don't know if they will have time and I think it would be a good opportunity for them to spend time with our agency. They act like I'm the wet blanket so I tell them I'm leaving for airport from the hotel at 4 p.m. sharp and meet me in lobby so we can share a lift. Text them at 3:45 p.m. that lift is arriving in 15 minutes, no response. Text them that lift has arrived and I'm leaving for airport, no response. Text them when I get to airport and tell them security line is long neither had pre-check, no response. Text them when I get to gate to please give me some sign of life, in turn sends very short response about 10 minutes later, in lift, there's traffic. Nothing else. Text them flight is starting to board, no response. Text them when I'm in my seat that boarding is about to end, no response. Doors close, they don't make it, put my phone in airplane mode. Land a couple hours later to a barrage of texts from them. They're stranded in Nashville, don't know what to do, how to rebook, who to call for help, etc. I also have an angry voicemail from specialist's mom that I abandoned her daughter in Nashville, she has never flown and has anxiety, she's having a panic attack at the airport and needs medical attention, she could be human trafficked. I call specialist and intern back, both phones ring but neither pick up. Text to see if they were able to rebook, no response. Forward them email with our business travel info with after hours contact and text them that I sent the email, no response. Texted an hour or so later to see if they were okay, no response. Did not call the mom back. Also have text from their director don't know her well, just started with a couple weeks ago asking what's going on. I sent her brief overview and screenshots of all my unanswered texts to them from earlier in the day along with the transcript of the VM I got from the mom. She acknowledges my response, but no further dialogue. Now, I get an invite for a Monday morning meeting from that director with their VP and our C-suite leader. My VP is on PTO. I feel like these are adults, I was communicative, and I'm ultimately not responsible for their decisions. But you tell me, AITA here. Comments. Commenter 1. I think that OP went incredibly above and beyond here considering that it was a work event she was receiving an award at, so to have these junior idiots causing any type of fuss was really an unnecessary hassle for her when it should have been a personal celebration. Reply. Okay, thank you so much for saying this because I took it out of my main post since it was so long already, but I made a short acceptance speech after getting the award. I worked really hard on it and practiced a lot. It was only like 90 seconds, but I asked specialist and intern to film it for me because I wanted to share it with my team members who helped me with it. Left my phone with them and everything, but they forgot and that kind of upset me. It's obvi not the end of the world, but like, come on. Commenter 2. So they even failed at the only job you gave them with explicit instructions: film my speech, official speech at official event. Definitely worth including in your bullet points. Commenter 3. You were there as their co-worker, not as their mother. Firstly, no one should be expecting you to take care of them in that way. They're adults. And even when you did offer them direction and support, they didn't even have the decency to get back to you. And a call from her mom? Good Christ. I would come prepared with documentation and also let your supervisor know, even if they're on PTO, that this is what was happening. Commenter 4. The call from her mom is what really gets me. As an adult, I fully understand calling your mom for help when you're panicked, like this girl stuck at the airport with no flying experience. I would 100% call my mom if I were panicking in that situation. My mom, however, would help me get my shit together and clam down and solve the problem myself, not call another person on the business trip and yell at them for leaving me stranded. That far crosses the line. Commenter 5. They seem to have mistaken a business trip for a vacation. Also, they acted irresponsibly around time, dressing, and networking possibilities. None of this is your fault. You are not their mother. You treated them like the adults they are. The fact that they didn't act like adults is not on you. NTA. Commenter 6. After their behavior on this trip, I'll be surprised if they ever get a chance to go on another company-funded trip, let alone still have a job. Commenter 7. Confirming you are female. Read the come on mom comment. This shouldn't be, but is this a gendered issue that your company sent a senior female to do work and babysit 2 junior females? I can understand never having flown before, but you went above and beyond to look after and help them. They aren't your direct reports, and frankly they didn't do their job of actually benefiting from your experience and network. They took it as a chance to have a holiday. If a colleague of mine was late, I wouldn't be expected to miss my flight to help them. What you did was again above and beyond in trying to organize grown adults. Re the meeting. If the people in attendance can impact your performance/bonus etc., I would strongly suggest emailing them to ask them what the meeting is about and reschedule when your VP is back. If you don't want to trouble your VP, I think that is fine also, but you should be prepared to make this an uncomfortable conversation for them as to why they think it's okay to send 2 junior female employees to be babysit by another senior female employee. Would they expect this from a male colleague? My guess is probably not. Good luck and update us. Reply. Thanks for this comment. I don't want to make this a gender issue, but if the meeting does turn on me on Monday, I have been trying to find a way to professionally say, if it had been male counterpart on my team who went on this trip with the same outcome, would you be having the same conversation? Interestingly, perhaps, everyone on the meeting invite on Monday is a woman. My VP is male but on PTO, so won't be in attendance. Update. Insert it's me wicked meme here. This whole fiasco has really challenged my Reddit skills, lol. Here's my update after my meeting this morning. If there is a better place to post it that won't get me in Reddit jail, LMK. Meeting over. CMO didn't join. It was other VP and director, plus the internship coordinator, who is an HR VP, asked all the questions. It was over Teams, on camera, recorded, almost comically formal, like I was being deposed or something. During the meeting, was asked to recap what happened, starting from when we arrived. I was prepared, had all my key points. Kept it factual on my actions, no speculation on their actions. I shared my phone screen live, went through the text messages with timestamps and the voicemail from specialist's mom. I was asked if I had requested or encouraged specialist to put any expenses on her P card. This question took me by surprise. I said I didn't even ask or consider that she had a P card, and beside the lift from airport to hotel, which I scheduled/paid for, I was never outside of the hotel/official conference activities with either specialist or intern that would have required any sort of payment. I did say I would consider it to be her line manager's responsibility to make sure she understood our travel and expense policies prior to traveling. I was asked if at any point I had reached out to anyone at the office about anything that was transpiring, to which I said no, I certainly intended to when I returned, but we are talking about everything that happened within a 32-ish hour window, all while I was trying to focus on what I was sent there to do, participate as a panel member at the conference, attend other presentations, take advantage of face-to-face time with our agency, and accepting my award. I said I felt it was reasonable to believe any other attendees would have expectations for participation and outcomes set by their leadership team, especially when coming from another department, where I wouldn't be knowledgeable about their goals and objectives. Similarly, if there were different expectations of me based on other co-attendees, I would expect that to be clearly communicated in advance. I was not asked if I thought intern and/or specialist should receive any sort of reprimand, and I didn't feel comfortable trying to interject something like that based on the flow of conversation. I'm under the impression that they're meeting with specialist and intern separately, but my meeting was first. After the meeting I debriefed with a trusted colleague, who shared the following from Friday water cooler chats. I definitely offended intern by pulling her aside about her outfit. She posted it to Snapchat with a caption about it, and some other interns/employees saw it. Dying to know what exactly it said, but coworkers said everyone who did see it agreed it was inappropriate for a work event. Allegedly specialist's mom had once called previous director who left, director in meeting today replaced him about specialist's working hours. It is known that several months ago specialist was pulled off a high-profile project team. Apparently when she was asked to put in some evening and weekend hours to meet a deadline, mom called director and complained. Don't know if I believe this to be true, but mom stepping in could be a pattern. What I'm hoping helps validate my testimony is separately on Friday, one of my agency partners I was with emailed my CMO about a conversation we had after the ceremony on Thursday evening with some ideas he had. Typical agency sales-wise stuff, but he also unknowingly corroborated my alibi on Thursday night. So, that's where we are at. Last night I had convinced myself this all would result in me receiving a big apology or acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and that I shouldn't have had to deal with this, etc. But I didn't, which makes me feel this is still a bit unresolved. I did send all my notes to my VP on Sunday, but his PTO is medical related and I know he's not able to really check in, so just keeping my head down until I hear anything else. Comments. Commenter 1. Sounds like they paid for random stuff using their company card and tried to blame you for it. I'd be shocked if they keep their jobs. Commenter 2. Thank you for this update. You won't get an apology. That's not how this works. One of the leadership may tacitly acknowledge that their behavior was wrong, but your involvement in this saga is over. My prediction, this is a career-limiting event for both of them. Intern will not be receiving an offer, and specialist will be terminated for using her P-card for unapproved items. The termination will actually be for her helicopter mother, but on paper it'll be for expense policy violations. Commenter 3. Nah, both will be fired for unprofessionalism during their trip with the additional violation for the specialist charging improper stuff as well. The specialist is really screwed because she will lose out on income and benefits. The intern is probably still in college so she can go through entry-level recruitment, but it's still going to be a pain and it's a small world, so news of the intern's behavior will spread. The punishments they are getting match with how much both of them fucked up. Update. It's probably not going to be as juicy as you want it to be, but hopefully it provides some level of closure to this whole thing. This post will still be long because I generally have a problem with brevity and I have big feelings about this whole experience. Here are the things I want to say. I bolded the topic so you can choose what interests you. Was the post fake? No. I don't really understand why it was flagged, what rules I broke, etc. I did alter some details to try and protect my identity, more on that later, but feel this is a generally acceptable Reddit practice. At the point where it was taken down it had already gone viral, so I honestly appreciated the decline in notifications, lol. According to my DMs, many people felt entitled that I provide them with proof of authenticity, and it's like, be so for real. I'm a human looking for advice on the internet, not a gold-plated, uncirculated, oversized, novelty Sacagawea quarter you buy from an infomercial in the middle of the night. If you don't like something or think it's fake or it's not bringing you joy, just scroll on, it's really easy to do. Threatening a stranger won't prove anything or make your life better. Was I actually doxxed? Yes. While I received many incorrect guesses at my true identity, there were a couple that were correct. And holy shit, is that scary. I don't know what compels a person to go to such lengths to try and figure out who a random internet poster is, but maybe don't spend your time doing that. Unless it's someone threatening to shoot up a school or bomb a concert venue, of course. Take those despicable monsters all the way down. But I'm just an elder millennial trying to navigate imposter syndrome in corporate America, pay my bills and generally be a good person so one day I can hopefully retire and rescue a borderline concerning number of geriatric Pomeranians. Very unworthy of your CIA caliber sleuthing. Please, make friendship bracelets or try diamond painting as a relaxing hobby instead. Or join the actual CIA and take down would-be school shooters and concert venue bombers. Has anyone from my job seen my post? Yes, in some form. More than one person, in fact. Perhaps naively, this was something I never even considered would happen. It's Reddit. It's anonymous, and everything is cycled through in about 24 hours, right? But as soon as the reaction videos started coming across my FYP, a People magazine web article, and all the other ways this thing took on a life of its own. NGL I had pretty severe panic about this, like wow, I handled the situation as best I could and came out relatively unscathed, but me seeking validation of internet strangers will be what takes me out in the end. So far I have not been reprimanded over it, but I accept whatever comes of it. Not my most professional move to air out others' not most professional moves on the internet, and I will seek a healthier outlet in the future. Maybe I'll make friendship bracelets, or try diamond painting. Will specialist and or intern be fired? To my knowledge, they are both still employed, although today is the official last day for the entire summer intern cohort. I know how I would handle one of my team members if they did this, but I trust they would never, ever, ever, because they're sensible and smart and amazing, and probably reading this, but for these two, it's not up to me to decide. And while I take full accountability for bringing all gestures widely this on myself, I'm at a point where I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative within my actual place of work. In conclusion, for everyone who commented and sent such nice, supportive messages, thank you. Sincerely. I did get some good advice and I'm glad I could help you temporarily escape into someone else's work drama, provide HR training material for new employees on travel policies, or maybe validate that whatever you did on your first work trip that creeps into your brain when you're trying to fall asleep at night wasn't actually that bad. I took the rest of the week off, which may seem like an overreaction, but sometimes weird stuff impacts you in ways you aren't prepared for. I'm going to use the time to rest, do a bit of reflection, and look at pictures of geriatric Pomeranians. Comments. Commenter 1. I never considered looking at pictures of geriatric Pomeranians to be particularly grounding, but honestly that sounds lit. You deserve all good things. Thanks for updating. Commenter 2. The doxing is wild. These interns definitely charged some SUS stuff to the company. Commenter 3. If these interns don't get properly punished, then it's proof to me they are effing somebody or are related to the right people. Commenter 4. Meh. It's easy for an intern to not be invited back, but in a lot of places they'd still be paid for their 3 months even if they murdered another employee with witnesses, and were taken away in handcuffs. No company wants the reputation of not upholding their end of the intern's social contract. Stories number 11. My stepsister demanded to move into the house my dad left me, for free. My dad passed away last year and left me his house. It's fully in my name. No drama about that part. But here's where it gets wild. My dad had been married to my stepmom for 12 years. She has a daughter, Claire, who I was never close to. We were teens when our parents married, but Claire made it very clear that I wasn't real family. She never called my dad dad, would exclude me from anything she planned, and loved telling people we weren't related. I accepted it and moved on. After the funeral, which Claire didn't even attend, she messaged me. Not to say sorry, not to offer support, but to ask if she could move into the house. For free. She said she was struggling, that we were sisters now, and that dad wouldn't have wanted her to be homeless. Meanwhile, she barely acknowledged my dad when he was alive, only showed up when she needed something, and now she wants to live in the one thing he left me? I told her no. I'm living here and I'm not about to share it with someone who never treated me or my dad like family. She flipped out and said I was punishing her for being a dumb teenager. Then my stepmom messaged me too, saying I was heartless and that family is family. But Claire never treated us like family until it became convenient for her. I'm just protecting what my dad left me. Comments. Commenter 1. She didn't even show up to the funeral but feels entitled to his house. Girl, you're not punishing her, she's facing consequences for how she treated you and your dad. Reply. Exactly. She only ever shows up when there's something she wants. Suddenly I'm family when it benefits her. Commenter 2, NTA. She made her choices. You're not heartless, you're setting boundaries. Good on you for standing your ground. Reply, thanks. I felt guilty for like 5 seconds but then remembered all the crap she pulled growing up. I'm done being the bigger person. Commenter 3. Change the locks if either of them have keys to the house and put up security cameras. I wouldn't be surprised if stepmom and her try to pull something to get in. Narcissistic people always try to find a way. Reply, you're right, better safe than sorry. Already booked a locksmith and looking into cameras now. I'm not taking any chances. Commenter 4. Claire would do well to note that this property clearly was not a marital asset. Given that it was left to you, and not to her mother. Stepmother can support her own daughter. Given that your father has passed, you have my condolences, you no longer need to maintain these relations if you don't wish to. Reply, yup, I've got no obligation to keep ties with people who only show up when they want something. Stories number 12. Girlfriend went on a trip with her friends and came back acting totally different. So I 25M have been with my girlfriend 22F for about a couple years. We've been living together for a few months, and things have mostly been really good. Like yeah, little arguments here and there, but nothing major. Last weekend she went on a trip with her college friends to this lake house/cabin one of their families owns. It was just the girls, kind of a last summer thing before a couple of them move out of state. I was totally fine with it, told her to go have fun, no issues there. But when she got back, something felt off immediately. Like she walked in, barely looked at me, gave me a quick hug, and then went straight to the bedroom to unpack. She didn't even really say she missed me or anything. We usually text a bunch when we're apart, but she was kinda distant the whole trip too, like shorter responses and slower replies. Since she's been back, she's been weirdly quiet. Not mad, just distant. She's been zoning out, not really laughing at stuff like she usually does, and just kinda flat when we talk. I asked her how the trip was and she literally said it was alright and then changed the topic. No stories, no funny moments, no pics, nothing. Which is super unlike her. She normally comes back from any outing with like 10 stories and a ton of photos. The other thing is she's been journaling a lot since she came back. Which again, not bad, just new. She's always kinda been into mindfulness and stuff. I asked if everything was okay and she just said she's tired and processing a lot, whatever that means. I tried pressing gently and she told me I was being overly clingy and that she just needs a bit of space. I've never been called clingy before, so that kinda stung. I've tried asking her friends if something happened but they kinda brush it off and tell me not to worry. So now I'm just sitting here like, what happened on that trip that made her come back a totally different person? She's not mad at me, I think. But it honestly feels like she left as one version of herself and came back as another. And she won't let me in at all. I'm trying not to make a big deal out of it, but I feel like I'm being iced out and I have no clue why. Am I overreacting for feeling really weird and kinda hurt by this? Should I just give her space and stop asking questions? Ick. This just sucks. Comments. Commenter 1. Nor. I agree with giving her space to a certain degree, but me personally is so came back acting so distant and zoned out I would be concerned about something traumatic, but that's also because I know my so and she shuts down when something has upset her. I'd give her a couple more days then come to her and be like, hey, so I'm worried about you. I'm not upset but I do want to do a mental check-in. You've been kinda distant and zoning out. Is something bothering you or on your mind? I'm here for you and I care. I wouldn't even mention since you got back from your trip, I'd leave that part open. She will either A, appreciate your care and give you some insight, or B, blow up, to which will be where you will have to just walk away and decide where you want to go from there. Either one of two things happened in my mind. 1, her and her friends got into it, or someone hurt her, or 2, she cheated or did something she shouldn't have. Either way, please update us. Commenter 2. Nor. You know her and her how she is best, trust your gut. What does your gut say? It's not good that she called you overly clingy when you pressed her. Clearly something is off and that seems like a deflection. I was just talking to someone who came back from a trip. Friends acting different. They didn't have the enthusiasm or interest level from before. Quite frankly, I didn't see what happened on her trip or what changed. It was clear that she just wasn't as interested and I just stopped talking to her. We weren't exclusive though, so it was much easier to end. I'd say give her some space, just observe her actions/behavior for a bit. See if there is more that is off or strange. If this continues for a few more days, she is going to have a conversation about it. If she is unwilling to communicate, then obviously she's checked out. Question: how has your sex life been in recent weeks/months? Usually, if that changes, slows or whatever, not a great sign. Reply, yeah, I'm hoping she's willing to open up after some time. Our sex life has been great, honestly. Well, as of recently, that is, of course. She's more reserved now anyways, so that's a given, but we haven't had any complications in the past. We've both wanted it. And enjoyed it. Reply commenter 2, are her friends single? Reply, honestly I'm not sure. She has mentioned someone's boyfriend, which might be one of the girls from the group. Update, girlfriend went on a trip with her friends and came back acting totally different. TLDR, girlfriend came back from a girl's trip acting cold and distant. After shutting down and leaving me out, she admitted something happened during a drinking game that went way past acceptable boundaries. She was vague, said she wasn't herself, and claimed not to remember everything due to being drunk. The game involved dares that escalated kissing, pouring drinks into mouths, etc., and while she didn't give full details, she acts guilty. One friend, Ellie, didn't participate and left the cabin when things escalated. I reached out to her friend for clarity, who revealed that more people joined the trip than initially was planned, but offered no further help. I feel hurt, betrayed, and unsure how to move forward, especially since my GF hid everything and is still withholding details. I'm overwhelmed, processing everything, and taking space to figure out what to do next. Full update. So yeah. First off, thanks to everyone who commented or messaged me, it always helps even a little bit to talk about this. I read everything even if I couldn't reply back to everyone. Some of it helped, some of it TBH just made me feel worse. Still, thanks. Anyway, getting to the update. It wasn't really a planned discussion or anything, just kind of happened. I had earlier asked one of her friends if something was going on, she again just didn't really open up but told me it wouldn't be her place or job to say. I thought I wouldn't get anything out of her, so I just said fuck it and that I'd try and talk to my girlfriend later. She came home from work and was just acting off again. The usual. Barely said anything, didn't eat the dinner I had prepared earlier, almost immediately went for a long walk outside, afterwards went straight to the shower and spent a long time there. Later she kind of just stayed in our bedroom laying about and not really engaging with me. I haven't seen her writing in her journal today and honestly I don't think much of it. I went in after a while just to ask her about her day, gently. I wasn't pressing or nagging about it, just calmly asked if she could please just talk to me and that I care about her and how she feels. Told her I wasn't trying to fight or blame her or anything, I just wanted to understand what's going on, and since we always share everything that it's unfair to keep me in the dark, and that I'd support her either way whatever it was. She didn't say much, just kept mumbling about not knowing what to say, wasn't really feeling it, she was tired, etc. So I stepped back, spent some time on my own and went for a walk. Eventually later today she started opening up a little. I guess she had enough time to reflect and gather her thoughts. I'm not gonna put every single word she said here in quotations cause it feels kinda personal and also I'm still trying to process it myself. But basically, yeah, something happened on the trip. With her and the girls. She didn't say word to word what she did, in detail, but made it really clear that it went way past what would be okay in a relationship. Like, way past. There was plans of drinking during the trip. I know my girl drinks and I do too, it has never been a problem. I was expecting it, I think it's normal and I encourage her always to have fun if she wants to, since I trust her. She's been to raves, parties, etc., and I have never seen a problem with that. It's not my right to limit her hobbies, even if I don't always match her energy. Mind you, she has never been a heavy drinker, at least not around me, and we've never had to talk about her alcohol usage. She has been a well-behaving adult for all our relationship, and if she has been drunk it has always stayed well in the limits of good taste. She said what happened wasn't planned and that it just kind of did and that she wasn't herself, which honestly just made me feel a knot in my stomach, like she was preparing me for something really really bad. So I encouraged her to just say it, that she has already said enough for me to not back down now. I deserve to know about this. She said the trip honestly went well regarding to original plan, they drank, went to the sauna by the lake, swam, played games, hung around normal. Doesn't sound awful, right? Sounds like a normal weekend trip to me with friends. So later that night they had been drinking more, partying, listening to music, enjoying themselves. Some of them were drinking and hanging out in the hot tub and some of them had hung around inside the cabin playing a board game and talking. My GF kind of talks in circles about this and tries proving during our talk how it was in the end a good trip and that they all enjoyed it. Eventually though she gets to the point and tells me why she's been down. Later in the evening someone had suggested they do a drinking game. Honestly don't see an issue with that since I like partying in games too, it's all just good fun within its limits. They had played bottle spin, the usual, with a twist of drinking or doing the dare. A couple of the girls were pushing it, encouraging it. She admitted she went along with it and wanted to play along, but the way she said it, ick. She looked ashamed and kind of said it quiet. The dares had been innocent and normal first, kind of tame stuff. The usual you hear everywhere. Who is your celebrity crush, what's your darkest secret, sing a particular song, and I imagine the rest would be along those lines. But they had gotten out of hand as the game went on and more drinks were consumed. Some of the girls had dared others to kiss each other, pick out their Mary, pour drinks into each other's mouths, and stuff like that. Obviously sounds to me like something that can lead to something very bad very quickly. My girlfriend says she didn't know better or deny a good time. She says she felt it was fun in the moment and didn't feel that she did anything wrong, and it was all consensual and nobody minded it, and that it's normal for girls to do after getting tipsy. And that she doesn't even remember everything that well and had a hangover the next day, and says she isn't even sure if she did anything. And that she felt bad cause she obviously doesn't like girls that way or that she normally doesn't do these kind of things and only kind of watches from the side. She never explicitly says what she participated in and what exact actions she took during the game but talks like she's guilty, so it's all a bit confusing. Sigh. There was one girl there with them on the trip. Let's call her Ellie. I've met her, she's the fun easygoing type and the one I mentioned earlier in my post that doesn't seem like she would hurt me or her in any way. I asked my girlfriend if she was there since I knew she was with them and that I wanted to know if I was totally wrong about her. Honestly wanted to know if they all sucked and played along knowing she has a boyfriend. My GF said Ellie hadn't participated and kind of left the cabin when things started happening. She had mentioned she's not well and that she would be sitting this out, and just kind of left and came back later in the night. They had talked later that night outside but she says nothing happened between them. Which honestly, I believe, and don't know why she brought it up since Ellie's actions don't sound suspicious anyway and I wouldn't have expected her to do anything between them, so this just feels like a weird extra detail that she added in. Also I'm not saying it would have been Ellie's duty to tell anyone off, I honestly just wanted to know if I was wrong about her and if everyone there were alright with everything. My girlfriend said she hasn't talked to her or the girls much after the trip. Want you all to know I didn't yell at her or get angry. Just kind of sat there. I didn't know at first how to respond since she didn't sound like her usual considerate self. She kept saying she didn't know why she shut down and she's been feeling horrible since. That she didn't know how to tell me and that she has needed time to word her thoughts. We've been distant with each other after the talk and it's just this heaviness between us since she got back and now I know why. I don't even know what to do now. I told her I needed space and went out for a walk, came back, kind of just sit there in the living room not really even looking at her. Am I treating her the same way now? I'm shutting her out and ignoring the problem, the elephant in the room, not acknowledging things are fucked. Obviously I shouldn't be okay with this. I don't see a life without her. So her behavior is hard to accept. Should I sleep tonight somewhere else? If I should break it off immediately, everything is just a mess in my head and I don't know what to do or how to approach it. I've never been the confrontational type either. I love her. I really do. But I don't know if I can look at her the same way again. Not just because of what she maybe did but because she came home and shut me out, made me feel like I was crazy, for even noticing something was wrong. I feel like this is something she should have told immediately. This obviously affects us. Ick even know if there's us after this. We've set clear boundaries in our relationship and never crossed them. The fact she's still leaving details out bothers me. Anyway. That's where I'm at. Not really looking for advice right now, you're free to comment though and tell me your thoughts. Just needed to get this all out of my head. This feels like a dream and not the good kind. Edit 1, I phoned her friend, this time demanding further answers, since I can't get them from my GF. She confirmed that there were more people joining them over the weekend than just their initial girlfriend group and that she wouldn't know what to tell me, since she really didn't care and told to go over it with my GF if I was so concerned. Granted I was emotional and raised my voice since I'm desperately trying to get a clear answer here. She and Ellie is the only one I can reach since I don't know any of the others' contacts. I'm so fucking done fishing for answers when no one gives me anything, it all seems useless. I'm not home at the moment and don't feel like going. Edit 2, I will be making an update later. Everything's kind of overwhelming and I need to sort things out for myself and think of my plans going forward. I've read through your comments, like I said I'm not looking for advice really, just needed to write these thoughts out somewhere. A couple people have reached out to me directly to offer support, I'm glad and I thank these people for that. Edit 3, There's a TLDR up top now. Didn't realize at the time I was writing this post how long and messy it is. I kind of just wrote my thoughts and didn't think of it that way. Thanks for the people who let me know. Edit 4. To people getting hurt by this and telling they'd treat my girl better, sending me threats in my DMs, etc. Honestly, thanks for that. Gave me a couple of laughs in an otherwise fucked situation. Comments. Commenter 1. This is always going to be a cloud over your relationship if you continue to remain in it until she is completely honest with you. You cannot forgive/rebuild from something when you only have guesses and ideas as to what actions were taken to violate your relationship. You're owed the truth, whatever else comes of this. And no, kissing/intimate touching/oral/fucking are not things that we as women just happen to do with one another when we're tipsy. That's not how drinking works. Sure, it lowers inhibitions and impairs judgment, but it does not flip some bi-curious switch that we can't resist. If it did, Ellie would have had no reason to retreat to her cabin and avoid whatever happened. You're being trickle-truthed and gaslit, though at this point, let's just call it what it is, you're being lied to about having been cheated on. At the very least, I'd advise first and foremost, no sex until STI testing has taken place. Second, the truth, all of it, must come out if there's any hope of repairing this relationship, if that is worth your time and effort. Commenter 2. First of all, remember your happiness isn't determined by whether or not you guys stay together. Sounds like she cheated. Guess what? A lot of people get blackout drunk and don't cheat. Maybe she got drunk, it lowered her inhibitions, and turns out she is bisexual. Drinking is not an excuse. Sure, she is embarrassed, but she did what she did and needs to come to terms with it. My GF says she didn't know better or deny a good time. She says she felt it was fun in the moment and didn't feel that she did anything wrong, and it was all consensual and nobody minded it, and that it's normal for girls to do after getting tipsy. Going down on each other or whatever they did is not a normal thing for girls to do after getting tipsy. She is trying to normalize what happened. My ex went to a party and slept with her ex-boyfriend. She swore for years she was drunk out of her mind. She lied. Do what you need to. Commenter 3. She's obviously trickle-truthing. If she didn't have any idea what happened, then she wouldn't have been so depressed the last couple of days. She knows. You don't have to set a deadline for her, you have to set a deadline for yourself. Tell her that if she hasn't come 100% clean by tomorrow, then the two of you are over. And then act on it immediately. There's no excuse whatsoever for her not to have come clean already. If you think she's still not telling you the truth, then you need to have a phone call with someone else who was there and who will listen to her when she tells that person to be 100% honest with you. If you still doubt the level of honesty, then just bounce out of this relationship. In reality, she's already ended it with her behavior. Final update, girlfriend went on a trip with her friends and came back acting totally different. TLDR, girlfriend came back from a trip acting distant. Eventually admitted something happened during a drinking game that crossed our clear relationship boundaries, but stayed vague. I spoke to Ellie, her friend, who confirmed the specifics and eventually confirmed she messed around not just with another girl but a guy as well. Some people supported me, others sent hateful DMs. I've decided to end things with her. It's a lot. Just writing this for closure and for myself and for the people who followed this. I'll be staying somewhere else for a couple days more maybe, before starting to make preparations for splitting off. I finally had a proper conversation with Ellie. It wasn't quick, we talked all evening. She didn't seem to want to at first, but eventually she opened up. She was the only one who wasn't drinking or participating, and I respect her for being straight with me. She told me that the group was drinking heavily, and at one point, some of the girls invited a few guys over who were staying nearby. Guys I had no idea would be there. Says she's not sure if this was the plan all along or if it was the girl's idea to do so in the moment, she didn't at least know about it beforehand. The drinking game started getting more intense with the guys involved. According to her, my girlfriend ended up making out with two different people, one of the girls BTW, same girl who told me not to worry about it and wouldn't give answers when I contacted her originally, and one of the guys. There was a lot of touching that wasn't just playful. As far as Ellie knows, she didn't fuck anyone. She says she left and doesn't know the happenings afterwards, but it was far past anything I'd ever be okay with, and definitely past anything we ever agreed was acceptable in our relationship. What hit me the hardest was how, according to Ellie, my girlfriend wasn't even that drunk at that point. Tipsy, sure, but not blacked out or out of control. She had been laughing, very involved, and didn't seem pressured. She wasn't out of it like she tried to make it sound. Ellie left because she was uncomfortable, and when she returned later, my GF was still full on party mode and her talking was all blurry and she was a mess. I've talked with my GF, well, my now ex, over the phone, but all I got was mumbles or silent treatment. I full on said I know what she did and that she could at least admit to me before I break it off. Asked if I meant anything to her or if all our time together has been fake or just an act for her. Asked about how long she has had problems with her drinking, since I've always thought of her a mature and smart woman. She was sobbing and told me she could help me understand if I came home and she could make up for it, and even if she did do it she still loved me. So I'm done. I can't stay in something where I'm lied to, gaslit, and made to feel like I'm overreacting for noticing something is off. She came home and shut down instead of being honest. She let me stay confused, even when trying to comfort her, when she should have been honest the second she walked through the door. Hell, she should have admitted as soon as it happened, not that it would have made it right what she did. Some people here on Reddit messaged me privately to offer support. Some have reached to something called Reddit Care Resources. Honestly, had no idea that existed. I'm in no need for that, but I'm thankful anyway. Thank you. Some have helped more than you would have had to. Others, though, have been blowing up my DMs, sent hate messages, called me names, told me I was pathetic for how I handled it. Someone asked for my ex's social so they can have fun with her since I don't know how to. Some have told they straight up don't believe me. Which, fair, you're not supposed to take everything at face value what you read. But to those people, congrats. I don't know what you expected me to answer, but you added nothing of value to my life. I've realized it was probably a mistake to start posting about this online at all in the first place. This will be the last update. I'm moving forward. Don't expect further updates. Thanks to the ones who cared, and my heart goes out to anyone who's dealing with anything similar. You're important and you deserve better. Love yourself and know your worth. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm sorry man, it sounds like she knew exactly what she was doing and didn't care. She probably got caught up in the moment and it didn't hit her until the next day what she did. There is no excuse here. It's good that you leave, even after everything. She can't just be honest, even after you told her you know. If you decide to talk to her, make sure she talks first. If you tell her what you know, then she won't elaborate, she will just say she kissed someone. Because that's the extent of what you know. If she wants to talk, and you agree, do it somewhere you can walk away if you need to. Or only allow her to talk over the phone. I know it hurts and I'm sorry for you bro. Commenter 2. Good for you king. Fuck that chick. Remember, she called you overly clingy and sulked around the house for days, not communicating. Had you worried for her well-being, all just manipulation tactics to get you to feel bad for her to sweep it under the rug. All the people who were parading around the posts saying that she was assaulted or some BS, insane. Some of the mental gymnastics you play to keep someone from being responsible for their actions. Stories number 13. Aita for refusing to let my husband's daughter move in with us because she has a history of stealing from me. The house is mine. I didn't know about Emily until a few months after the wedding. She has never apologized or taken accountability for stealing from me. I suggested therapy, both she and my husband refused. A lot of people told me this isn't just about Emily, and they were right. This is also about the fact that Mark lied to me about his life. Mark lied to me from the start by hiding his daughter, and when the situation got hard, he chose to ignore it. He let me doubt myself, made excuses for her behavior, and called me selfish when I finally put my foot down. Frankly, I think that this relationship is over. I thank everyone who kindly helped me to wake the fuck up. Since the last post, I spoke to a lawyer. I'm not filing for divorce right now, but I needed to understand what my options are. I've started protecting my finances and getting my documents in order. I have gotten messages from his family and Emily's friends. They were harassing me for my boundaries. Thankfully, I have an amazing family and amazing friends to defend me and help me through this situation. Now, with Mark. I talked to him and we got into an argument. I ultimately decided to kick him out, and I think he's living with his sister, who called me a witch. I don't know what will happen now with Emily because I do not know if she was the one who sent her friends to harass me. I am considering reaching out to talk to her and possibly get coffee. I really want to just muddle everything down with her. Mark has also been an absolute deadbeat because he has not taken in his daughter when he literally berated me for not letting her in our home. And the irony is crazy. This is all the information I have right now. I will give an update if anything happens and if Emily accepts my offer for coffee. Comments. Commenter 1. Why even ask her for coffee? It doesn't sound like you had any sort of positive relationship with Emily. The only connection you had was her dad, who you are ending your relationship with. My advice would be a clean break all around, so you can move on with your life. Commenter 2. Do not meet her for coffee. You will never get what you want from that conversation. Nothing good will come from you having any more communication with any of them. Commenter 3. Don't meet Emily, she will twist it and make you out to be the villain. There's no point. If you must meet with her, I'd either be recording it assuming it's a one-party consent or bring someone with you to sit at the table with you in a public place. Commenter 4. There is no reason to have coffee with his daughter. You are setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment. Quickly get the divorce papers filed because you don't want to be responsible for child support. Stories number 14. I 23F caught my cousin 26M stealing my dad's OxyContin not hours after my dad died. I'm so furious I banned him and his family from the funeral. My family is upset and trying to get me to change my mind. I have no words to describe how furious I am right now. My dad died from pancreatic cancer 3 days ago. He was diagnosed 2 weeks ago, spent all of the first week and a half in the hospital until the doctors told us to take him home. He spent the last part of his life in hospice care, unable to talk and in horrible pain. I was the only one with him when he passed and it wasn't easy. Having to hold his hand and soothe him in his final moments was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. We're a big Hispanic family, so we had lots of family coming in and out for the last week. Several stopped by the day he died, one of which included my constantly in trouble cousin. Long story short, I caught him looting and ransacking the bathroom and the room my father passed in looking for the OxyContin my dad was prescribed for his palliative care. Keep in mind he was prescribed a substantial amount and now I can't fucking find it. I lost my shit, hit and screamed at him, and all but chased him out of the house. I'm furious and since I'm the one planning the funeral, I've banned him and his enabling family from the funeral. I'm so angry and so upset that they'd let him not only disrespect my dad by ransacking his things, but defended him after the fact. When I called my aunt to confront her about what her son did, she defended him and said he would never do such a thing and that I must have misseen something. Since I decided to ban them, I told my closest aunt and uncle to give them the news that we do not want them there and that if they are seen anywhere near the church or the funeral home, the police will be called. I'm now being bombarded from my family members telling me that it's not right for me to ban them from the viewing and funeral and that I'm being way too hard on them considering my dad loved them. If my dad had caught them doing any of the things I caught their son doing, he would have thrown him out the door on his ass, period. I'm refusing to budge on this, however, my mom, who's been kind of out of it since the death, is now sort of gently prodding that maybe we should relent and allow them in. My siblings and I are generally united except my sister thinks that maybe we should allow them to attend if my cousin agrees to turn over what he stole and apologizes to our family. Am I being too hard on them? I'm just so angry. I don't think I can forgive it. TLDR, caught cousin trying to steal and he may have stolen powerful prescription pain meds after my dad's death. I've banned him and his family from the funeral. Family is now coming down on me and telling me I'm being too hard on them. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. We should allow them to attend if my cousin agrees to turn over what he stole and apologizes to our family. I think this is the correct route to go. It shows everyone in your family that you had reason to be mad. 2. It solves drama and in a way that makes him look bad, not you. 3. It means that you don't take shit from family for this. For it puts pressure on your cousin from your family to return the drugs and admit to his wrongdoing as opposed to that pressure only coming from you. 5. You can still not forgive him. You can still never invite him to things. You can still exclude this person from your life from now on. However, it solves the immediate clusterfuck and avoids the drama that it might perpetuate. And as a side note, assuming he admits guilt, I would absolutely ban him from your house. Commenter 2. I agree the stealing is horrible, provided, as one commenter noted, he took the meds, not hospice as is often protocol, but I just don't think this is OP's call to make. It's her mom's call. Sounds like she wants to let it go and have the funeral be about her husband, not about drama and banned family members. I'm a big believer in the funeral is for the living, not the dead, and as the closest person to the deceased, it's mom's decision. I agree an apology is in order, the cousin was certainly trying to steal something, at any rate, but that shouldn't be conditional on the cousin and his fam attending the funeral. OP is fine not to forgive them, speak to them following the funeral, of course. But for now I ask OP to take some breaths, let the anger subside and think of your mom and what she wants. Signed, someone who bit her tongue about addict cousin coming to grandpa's funeral because it's what grandma wanted. Reply, the thought of him being there literally makes my jaw clench. I cannot stand the thought of him or any of them showing their faces at an event meant to be about respect and honoring my dad when they shat all over it by letting their disgusting excuse for a son disrespect him. I know my mom wants us to forgive him and let them come, but I'm just so angry. This feels like a literal slap to the face. I know her feelings matter, but aren't our feelings valid too? Commenter 3. Stay strong. This is huge. I could never even look at your cousin if I were you. This was extremely disrespectful and no, none of them should be allowed in anything involving your father. Edit. P.S. I'm Hispanic and this is why I'm so flabbergasted. You pull some shit like this with my family and boy you're getting shunned from everyone unless you're sincerely begging for help for the addiction problem. Reply. I don't ever want to see his face again. If he sees me, my advice for him is to run. The family that were closest to my dad are 1000% on board with what I'm doing, especially because they refuse to apologize. Update. To start off, thank you to everyone that PM'd me and commented offering their condolences for my dad's death. I appreciated it very much. For those that asked me if I was sure my cousin was looking through my dad's things looking for drugs, I can 100% assure you that he was. Drawers were pulled out. Cabinets were flung wide open. When I caught him in the act, he was actually rummaging through the pockets of the pants my dad was wearing when he passed, so yes, I'm very sure that he was after the drugs. I talked to my mom about the possibility that hospice took the drugs, and she told me that they got rid of all the morphine and lorazepam. The OxyContin was untouched, and it was hidden in a very specific drawer, which I found appended. It's safe to say that I know he took them. Anyway, the update, so. I was all set to stick to my guns and prevent them from attending. However, I got a call from my abuelita and I agreed to bring her some dinner and talk with her. I know she's been taking my dad's death really hard and I didn't want to do it, but I still felt like I had to hear her out. I sat down with her and had a long conversation, and some things came out that I didn't know before. My aunt, the one that I banned from the funeral, actually bailed my dad out of jail once when he was a very young man and had a problem with alcohol. She paid for his attorney and legal fees and everything, and I guess the experience is what helped my dad get his shit together and straighten his life out. I never knew any of this because my dad swore her and the rest of my family to secrecy. I suspect he was ashamed since he worked so hard to keep me and my siblings on the straight and narrow. Abuelita told me that she understood how I felt, but my aunt was a huge part of my father's life, and that she wanted all of her children there. And that being so angry and taking my anger out on other people would do nothing to bring him back. I kind of broke down. She was right, when I wasn't angry, when I wasn't busy, and once I was left with just myself, all I felt was exhausted and, I dunno. I don't even know how to describe a feeling that goes beyond heartbroken. Someone here commented that it was like a grief that puts a death of itself in you. That commenter was 100% right. Abuelita wanted it, and my mom wanted it. My siblings and I reluctantly agreed to lift the ban, and my aunt told my other aunt and uncle that we had changed our minds. However, we would really appreciate it if the cousin did not attend. The viewing was yesterday and of course, they brought their shitbag son with them. He acted like a straight fool. While he had the common sense to avoid me like the plague, he had the fucking nerve to act like he was so torn up, made a show of kneeling by the casket, and so on. Oh, then he proceeded to get so shit-faced at the bar next door, he promptly returned to the funeral home, wandered into the room where refreshments were being served, and, when my brother said something snide to him, a pushing match ensued in which an entire tray of desserts went crashing to the floor. My uncle promptly strong-armed both of them out the door and told them both not to bother coming to the funeral service the next day if they couldn't act right, which I don't blame him for. My siblings were under strict instruction not to engage him in any foolishness. Douchebag cousin didn't show up to the service, but his parents did. The service went far smoother than the viewing. I gave the eulogy, and we all said goodbye to my dad. Everyone's gone now. I don't feel angry anymore. Now, I just feel so sad, and incredibly alone. I'll be missing my father forever. TLDR, grandmother convinced me to allow the family to attend my dad's funeral. Funeral went off without a hitch. Final comments. Commenter 1. I'm sorry for your loss. I don't blame you for caving, because I would do anything for my abuelita too. When the dust has settled, maybe you can speak with your aunt again and tell her how her son's actions have hurt you, and how you do not want to interact with him anymore. Reply. Thanks. Haha, I know, it's impossible to say no to abuelita. I'd consider speaking to my aunt again, but I'm more receptive to my uncle. He was the only one that came to personally apologize to my mom for my cousin's behavior. For that, I'm grateful. Commenter 2. Wow, that guy is a straight-up asshole. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but it looks like you got the closer you needed out of the situation. Reply. He is. He's dead to me. Stories number 15. Aita for deciding I won't attend any more events on my in-laws' side, and for not telling them why. My husband, eldest of 3, just turned 40. He invited his whole family, his mom, his younger brother who came with his pregnant girlfriend, and his sister. Everyone showed up, except the sister. When I asked my MIL why, she said, she had plans with a friend. I was shocked and replied, plans more important than her brother's 40th birthday. She looked awkward and mumbled something about it being planned a long time ago. Later, I spoke privately with my BL's girlfriend. She hesitated, then confided something I wasn't supposed to know. The sister deliberately made plans that day to avoid the party, because she was offended I didn't wish her 4-year-old daughter a happy birthday in the family WhatsApp group. To be frank, I forgot. I rarely write in the group and I often forget to reply messages. She asked me not to tell anyone but my husband, because it would put her in a bad spot. They'd immediately know she was the one who told me. Some context. MIL has always favored her daughter. She regularly visits her and babysits. They live 15 minutes away. Meanwhile, we had to insist, pay for her Uber, or drive 1 hour with our newborn just so she could see her grandson. The sister is constantly negative and somewhat resentful of my husband's success. He didn't go to college but does very well financially. She studied for years and struggles. When the BIL and his girlfriend aren't around, the family trashes her openly in front of me. I've always found it toxic. But during our private chat, she told me they do the same about me when I'm not there, saying I don't take care of my kids because every time he calls them on video, he happens to be the one feeding them. Newsflash, when I feed the kids, I call my family, not his. MIL doesn't even greet me on the phone and has never made me feel welcome. In-laws are clearly second class. I'm also furious about how MIL treats her son. During his own birthday party, she mocked him, laughing and saying he's lazy and never wants to go anywhere. I was the only one who stood up for him, because I know it deeply hurt him that his sister wasn't there, and the criticisms hurt him too. To top it off, BIL's girlfriend just gave birth. They live 4 hours away. MIL still hasn't gone to see the baby. I encouraged my husband to go visit, to support his little brother. I couldn't go myself, we have 2 very young kids, but I wanted him to be there for them. We attended the sister's 35th birthday not long ago. But now she snubs my husband's 40th, out of petty revenge over a missed WhatsApp message, and her mom defends her. I'm done. From now on, every time there's a family event, I'll just say I already have something planned. Like she did, Aita for deciding I won't go to any more events on their side. And for never explaining why. Edit. I consider I can't explain to my MIL why I'm not attending anymore, because doing so would put my BL's girlfriend in an even worse position than she's already in. She trusted me with what she told me, and I won't betray that. My husband says, they're just like that, we won't change them. I know he's right, but that doesn't mean I have to keep showing up, smile, and pretend it's normal. Comments. Commenter 1. The fact that they mocked your husband at his own birthday party and still expected you both to show up smiling for future events is wild. You're doing what's necessary for your family, and that's what matters. Commenter 2. NTA. Your husband is absolutely right, you cannot change his mother, but you can change your response. If you're pressed for an answer, you could tell your MIL that her favoritism is so obvious that you want to protect your children. Tell her that she may not know it, but the children notice, and it hurts them, and you are protecting them. Stories number 16. Aita for not allowing my sister's fiancé to use my late father's guitar during their wedding, despite his belief that I'm being spiteful. My dad died 3 years ago. He was a guitarist who played a single guitar every day and left it behind. I grew up watching father make songs with it, so it holds a lot of sentimental value for me. It's also essentially the last tangible item I own of him. Next month is my younger sister's 26th wedding. As her maid of honor I have been assisting her with everything, from organizing to covering some expenses because she is on a tight budget. Her fiancé 30M requested a few weeks ago if he could use my dad's guitar to play a song at the wedding. I declined since the guitar is priceless, delicate, and to be honest I'm afraid anything might happen to it. I don't know if the hold it to much significant as I do, so I proposed renting a comparable guitar or even bringing it so he could pose for pictures with it. They both got upset and said I'm being spiteful and making the wedding about me. My sister cried and told me it would mean a lot to have dad's guitar there for the song. I feel awful, but I just can't risk it. Dad's guitar isn't replaceable. Now half my family thinks I'm selfish for not sharing dad's memory, and some cousins have even said they'd never say no if it was their sibling's wedding. I'm still attending the wedding, still helping, but my sister barely talks to me. Aita for refusing to let them use my dad's guitar. Comments. Commenter 1. Don't miss out on new memories by trying to hold on to old ones. I'm sorry your dad has passed, but the guitar one day will be gone. Maybe it will survive your whole life, but here is some real talk. whether you have his guitar or not, it isn't going to make you closer or further away from him. Your memories you will have. I have a suspicion if he were alive he would want it to be used on someone's special day so that everyone can have a new fond memory. He is gone OP, don't let a ghost you have made up create a rift with people still alive. Commenter 2, YTA, your dad's guitar is also her dad's guitar. Additionally, guitars are meant to be played. I have a feeling if he was a musician he would want his guitar to be played instead of sitting in a closet. You're holding them back from having a meaningful experience, shame on you. Especially considering, and I hope it doesn't happen, your house could go down in flames tomorrow and it could be gone. Commenter 3, info, why is it delicate? Guitars are typically very sturdy instruments. Strings break but are cheap and easy to replace. And simply playing it wouldn't damage it, otherwise your father wouldn't have played it either. What exactly are you afraid of happening to it? Commenter 4, YTA. Do you play the guitar? Can you play at the wedding? Your dad played it every day and I'd imagine if he was alive he'd use it to play a song at his daughter's wedding. I'd imagine a man that connected to music would want to share the music from his prized instrument with his loved ones. What exactly are you worried might happen? Does your BL play well? Do you think he's going to break something just with normal use? There's no reason you can't keep it under your control up until the moment he plays it and then take it back. You are trying to fiercely protect a physical objects to hold on to your dad, but that's not where your dad's spirit is, it's in the music that comes from those strings. It's reasonably that your sister wants to feel his presence at her wedding, and that means hearing his guitar, not taking a picture next to it. Stories number 17. My family wants me to join them for Christmas after disowning me over 8 years ago. Need advice on whether to go or not to go. After being disowned 8 years ago, my family has invited me, my wife 27F and daughter 1F for Christmas. After getting conflicting advice from my friends, one of my buddies told me to post my dilemma here to see what random internet strangers would say. I 25M am the youngest of 4 kids between my mom 52F and dad 54M. My siblings are fake names Michael 31M, Sarah 28F, and my twin brother Casey 25M. For context, growing up I was the black sheep of the family and I knew that from a very young age. See, my family is full of athletes. My dad was a star basketball player for a D2 school, my mom played volleyball. Michael played soccer. Sarah played softball, and Casey was the star running back for the football team. I was never really interested in any of those physical sports, but rather I was interested in archery, which my family called a wimpy sport. My parents were always invested in my siblings and rarely ever attended my events to the point where I basically had to beg for them to come to my tournaments. Between the ages of 14 to 16, I had taken part in about 20 tournaments while my parents only showed up to one. I was never neglected by them, but they were never emotionally there for me as they were for my siblings, and as a teenager I resented that. Whenever I tried to bring this up to them, they would always call me an attention seeker. But however, this is not why I was disowned from my family. When I was 15, I began dating Amy 25F who was in the same grade as me at the time. After about 6 to 7 months of dating I introduced her to my folks and my siblings and they really liked her. I know I was young, but I could see myself having a future with her. Almost 2 years later, one of Amy's ex-friends told me that she had been cheating on me for a couple of months. At the time I didn't know who the guy was, but after confronting her, she told me that it was my twin brother. She basically told me that while at first she loved me, the love she had for my brother surpasses that. Later that day, when I confronted Casey at home, I was so enraged that I sucker punched him and knocked him out. I admit that I should have not gotten violent, but years of resentment towards him and the rest of the family just burst open. In exchange for my family not pressing charges on me as I could have been tried as an adult in court, I was sent to live with my paternal aunt 48F who at this point was estranged from the family and lived in another city about 2 hours away. From then on, I have not had any contact with them. At first it was tough, but later on, with support from my aunt, and her husband 48M I moved on from wanting a relationship with them. I transferred to a different high school and attended a university in my aunt's city and graduated as an electrical engineer. I later met my wife and got married to her. I at the time of my wedding thought about inviting them, but went against it because I did not want any sort of drama at my wedding. From that point me and my wife bought a house an hour away from my aunt and were blessed with a daughter a year ago. About a week ago, I received a Facebook message from my mother and father wanting to reconnect over Christmas at their house. I told them that I would consider it as I possibly have other plans, but would give them a clear answer soon. Later on, both Michael and Sarah sent me friend requests, which felt weird to me. My wife has told me that if I decided to go, she and my daughter would spend Christmas at my FIL's house as she does not have to deal with unwanted stress as she is 2 months pregnant, and I agree with her. My question to those reading this is that should I go and try to reconcile with my family or should I not? I am very conflicted on what to do. On one hand, they perhaps feel bad about what they did to me and want to apologize for what they did, but on the other hand perhaps if I go there, they will try to make me apologize to Casey, which I do not want to. Any advice would be helpful. TLDR, family that disowned me after GF cheats with my brother and I knocked him out. They reach out after 8 years of NC to invite me and my wife to Christmas. Need advice on whether to go and what to expect. Edit. Amy is 25 now, but at the time we started dating she was 15. My apologies, new to this site so my bad. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I think you should go another time. Spend Christmas with your wife and child. Visit your family at a less stressful time to see if they have any ulterior motives. It might just be about them wanting to see their grandchildren and not so much about you, which would be hurtful to you. Commenter 2. I honestly wouldn't spend Christmas away from my pregnant wife for them. Maybe I'm missing something, but why Christmas? They could have reached out at any time and given you a chance to pick a convenient time as they're the ones trying to amend things. IDK, it seems weird to me. I personally wouldn't go, unless you desperately want them back in your life. Commenter 3. Nope. They only want to see your daughter. They have demonstrated no change. They are attempting to gang bomb you so you feel guilty. Nope, nope, nope. Commenter 4. It's a trap. Notice they didn't open with any remorse or any sign of an apology. They want something: money, free work, an organ, access to your babies, or just to look good to their friends. I'm not saying don't go. But keep your expectations low, be ready for the "we need you to do X for us in order to properly reconcile" speech, and have a quick exit prepared. Commenter 5. I can't imagine not spending Christmas with my spouse and child. They disowned you. F them. Spend time with your family, your real family, and after the new year decide if you want to rebuild a relationship with your biological parents and siblings. I can't imagine sending my child away, can you? Can you look at your daughter and imagine a scenario where you would disown her? Final update. Hi there guys, it's been a rough 2 weeks, but thank you all for your advice and support. This is going to be a really long post. I wanted to post earlier but some things got in the way. 2 days after Christmas, my wife began to experience unbearable pain in her abdomen area and she hardly could stand on her 2 feet. Me and her sister 30F rushed her to hospital where we found out that my wife had suffered a miscarriage and that the fetus had to be removed right away. Honestly, the worst part for me was explaining to my wife what had happened. Due to complications surrounding the operation, my wife was forced to stay for 2 more days. Honestly, I have been trying to stay strong for my wife and my daughter, but honestly, I am struggling right now. On to the update of the original post. Most of you that commented on the same day I posted told me to not spend Christmas with them because of the significance of that holiday. I agree and decided I would spend the rest of the holidays with my wife. They never made time for me, so why should I make time for them? When I texted them this, I assumed they would try to argue with me, but rather they said they respected my opinion and could not wait to see me after the holidays. I began to do some digging into my family to try to figure out why they have reached out. Michael is a corporate lawyer who works for a major company in my hometown. By looking through his Facebook page, he has 2 daughters and was married to his wife in 2016. Sarah appears to be married to a doctor. She herself 8 years ago was studying to be a nurse and they have a son together. I have a friend who lives in my hometown and has parents who are friends with my parents. When I asked her about Sarah, she told me that Sarah had divorced her first husband, the one she was dating 8 years ago, after he had committed mail fraud. Casey got married to Amy right after high school and together they have 2 kids together. I could not exactly figure out what he or his wife does for a living through Facebook, but judging that they bought a big house last year in the midst of a pandemic tells me they are not really struggling. My dad seems to be going through a midlife crisis and my mother is really into the wellness community. I then began to list the reasons of why they wanted to possibly reach out to me now. Money, unlikely because 8 years ago, my parents' combined salary was higher than my wife and my salary. And given that my siblings are not struggling financially makes me think money is not the reason. 2. Organ donation, could be the case but seems unlikely, but a Redditor said that it could be that Casey, given he is my twin, would be my most likely match, and I think it's unlikely because he was tagged in a Facebook post skiing just a week before Christmas. Regarding my daughter, they could possibly be reaching out to me to have a relation to my daughter, but I honestly am not sure. My daughter is not the first granddaughter for my parents, so I do not know why they want to meet her. They most likely found out my daughter existed because my wife's Facebook account was public. She has since private her account. I then contacted my aunt, the estranged one, who took me in, informing her about the situation, and she explained to me why they were reaching out to me after all this time. To understand this situation, you need to understand why my aunt was estranged. My paternal grandpa 79M and grandma 76F had 4 children. My dad was the second oldest and my aunt was the third. My aunt after college came out to her parents as bisexual and began dating her girlfriend. My grandparents immediately disowned her and refused to have any contact with her. However, about 4 years ago, my grandpa began to reach out. About a month ago, my grandpa had been asking about me and what I was doing in life and whether I was married or had kids. My aunt responded by calling my grandpa out for wanting to know about me after he supported Casey for what he did. That is when the whole situation changes. My grandpa told my aunt that because I had cheated on Amy with one of her close friends, I deserved to be estranged. My grandpa is a religious nut, so he looks down on cheating. He had been told by my family that after the friend who I allegedly cheated with confessed to Amy, she went to Casey and Sarah for support and comfort. And when I found out about this, I confronted and brutally attacked Casey and Sarah. While Sarah was the one who tried to break me and Casey apart, I did not lay a finger on her and I did not brutally attack Casey. When my aunt was telling me this, my jaw dropped. I could not believe that they hated me so much that they were willing to make up a terrible lie about me and spread it around. My aunt later told Grandpa the full truth on what truly happened, and my aunt told me he was shocked because he always thought Casey was a good kid. My grandpa then asked my aunt for my number, which she declined to give. I figured out why my parents and siblings wanted to get into touch with me. It turns out my grandpa had told my parents and my siblings that if they did not apologize for what they did to me and have me over for the family Christmas dinner, they would be cut off from his will. For context, he is a multi-millionaire. So that is why they reached out to me, not to apologize about how they all wronged me in the past, but rather because if they did not, they would not get anything from Grandpa. What a bunch of greedy people. After hearing about this from my aunt, I decided to block all of them. Why should I respond to them? At this point all of them are dead to me. I have a wife to support after what she went through and a family that respects me and my in-laws. However, this does not end here, as 3 days after New Year's Eve, I received a call from an unknown number on my work phone. I am used to getting calls from unknown numbers because of my career, and when I picked up I heard my grandfather's voice. He most likely got my number from my company website. The first thing he did was apologize for not trying to get into contact with me for the past 8 years. He told me he was sorry that he could not be there for important events such as my graduation, my wedding, and the birth of my daughter. I was not really close to him before, so him cutting me off did not bother me. Later in the call, he told me he was so disgusted with the rest of my family that he is cutting them off his will and adding me to it. I honestly do not know how to feel about that, as the money would be helpful, but at the same time I do not want him to use this as a way to force a relationship between me and my daughter. We talked for about half an hour. The way the call went made me think that perhaps I could build a good relationship with my grandpa, but then he told me something that got me really pissed. He told me that he was disappointed in that my daughter had not taken the family name. For context, after I got married to my wife, the issue of what last name to use as a couple came up. For some legal reasons I was unable to change my last name to my wife's last name, but we decided as a couple that all of our future children would have her last name. I at this point unloaded on my grandpa, calling him a senile old man and many other hurtful things, and told him to never contact me ever again. The audacity of this man to say that after what I went through is something. I will not let him use the money I receive in the will to control me. Even if I receive the money, I will donate it to a local charity, but he is a man of false promises, so this is unlikely. These past few weeks have been really tough for me and I hope to make it to the other side. My wife has private her Facebook account and her in-laws have done the same. What they do to try to contact me is beyond me. Hell, they would probably hire a private detective to try to find me. I believe they do not know where I live, but you never know. I have thought of a restraining order, but given that there are lawyers within the family means getting a RO will be hard. I did not really get any time to answer any questions given in my last post before it was deleted for some reason. I will do my best to answer any questions for the next day or two, but after this I am done using Reddit for a while. Thank you all for your advice and I wish you all the best in this new year. P.S. I am just wondering why my first post got taken down, as I had not violated any of the rules of this subreddit. Just in case this post gets taken down, I will post this on my Reddit account. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Wait, so did your siblings know the real story the whole time or only the fake one? Did your siblings knowingly cover this up? If so, why? Why would they protect your brother over you? Reply: Sarah, my sister knows for sure because she tried to pull me off my brother, and Michael most likely knows the real reason. They most likely covered it up. My parents covered for both of their university bills. I was never really close to them, so I do not know why they protected him. Commenter 2: Wow, so Sarah knows your brother is a monster and still spread lies about your... That is awful. The fact that she did it because she was too scared of your dad not paying for college is terrible. I am sorry for you having that family. Reply: Sure, she was dependent on my parents, but now it's been a couple of years since she has been independent and she still has not reached out to me. Commenter 3: That's the thing, your older siblings not reaching out after all of this time when they knew the truth is awful. Particularly as I am sure they still have contact with your brother. Stay strong, sounds like you got a good family. Out of curiosity, have any other members of your family reached out or been notified of the truth? Reply: My mom was an only child and both my maternal grandparents passed away prior to the estrangement. My father's other two siblings never wanted to do anything with me. They have not reached to me and I do not know if they have been notified of the truth, and honestly I do not care. Commenter 4: I'm so sorry for your loss, OP. I can't begin to imagine the pain you and your wife must be experiencing right now. Your family is just absolutely chock full of some of the worst assholes I've ever heard of, and the fucking audacity of them is unmatched. They do not deserve any more of your energy. Fuck them all. I really hope they don't pursue you anymore and you can focus on your family at home. Thank you for taking the time to update us, and I will hold your family in the light. Commenter 5: I'm grateful you dug into their reasons. They don't deserve your time or attention. I do think you were a little harsh to your grandpa, but you have a lot of pain and trauma, so it is what it is. Commenter 6: Offloading on your granddad might have convinced him that your aunt was full of shit and to give your family their inheritance. Especially since they tried to convince him that you're some barely contained psycho and you offloaded at the first disagreement with him. You were well within your rights to be offended, but you just cut off your nose to spite your face there. The guy must be old, he's going to have old-fashioned values. Did you try explaining that it's something that's done in society nowadays, or did you see red immediately? TBH, you've had a really rough time of things and I imagine that must have been the straw to break the camel's back, right? I just figured you might want a fresh perspective. Much love to you, man. I really hope your missus gets better quickly and your 2022 improves quickly. Reply: To be honest, right now I do not care how he sees me. I do not want to have a relationship with him on the basis on money. This may ruin the relationship my aunt and grandpa have, but to begin with they never really had a relationship. Stories number 18. Dad told me and my mom that we should kill ourselves in the middle of a store. Essentially title. My mom, my dad and me drove 3 hours to a microcenter to get a part replaced for my computer. My parents and me walk in there and they say that they're so swamped that they can't get to it and it would take them days. This is not what they told us over the phone, where they said that they would repair it pretty soon after we got there and told us to come. My dad, upon hearing this, goes fucking ballistic. He starts screaming at the top of his lungs in the middle of the store about how this should have all been planned out, this should have all been done in advance, why didn't you know, even thought they told us everything and then told us the exact opposite when we got there. He went on a 20-minute tirade in the middle of the store about how I'm a spoiled, entitled, selfish, narcissistic fat ass that has no respect for anyone or everything for forcing him to come with. I tried to not get him to come, but he insisted, and that this is the reason I have no friends, no girlfriend, and will die sad and alone. He also told me repeatedly that he wished I would die already and k*ll myself, adding that he would load the shotgun for me. It was worse with me mom. He called her a failure of a mother, a coward, an idiot, a stupid R-word, a C-word, told her he wished she would die, told her that my former English teacher has a fat ass and that he's going to fuck her soon, how he wished she'd kill herself, and told her that her dad, who is struggling with dementia, should kill himself so maybe she'd have sex with him. He went into detail about their sex life, about how they never have sex anymore, and gloated to me about his body count and how I'll die a virgin. He ended off by calling us both the C-word, telling us to go die, and then storming out. I've never felt more ashamed and embarrassed in my entire life. My mom cried to the store clerks and begged them to just fix it, and they took pity on her and me and did. My dad was happy afterwards, and kinda apologized. He said he was really sorry and then went on a 30-minute tirade explaining his side and why he did what he did. We got home and have been sitting in silence since. Comments. Commenter 1. This is really disturbing, abusive and manipulative. I think the authorities should keep your family on a radar. I'm not sure how old you are and if this is the path that you want to take with your mom, but maybe have a talk with your mom if she is thinking of leaving him and maybe call the crisis line together. Commenter 2. Your dad is vile and disgusting and does not deserve that title or a family. What a POS. Commenter 3. Holy shit, he's violent AF. I hope your mom divorces him for the safety of both of you. Commenter 4. Your dad is the narcissist. This is narcissistic rage. You inconvenienced him. He wants you to think you are a terrible person for making his day bad. He is a piece of crap. I hope your mom divorces him and takes you with her. Stories number 19. Aita for leaving a guy mid-date because he brought his MOM. Okay, so I went on this first date with a guy I matched with a couple weeks ago. Let's call him Kevin, not his real name, but it fits the vibe, you'll see why. Everything was going fine before the date, texting was fun, he was sweet, he didn't give off serial killer energy. He suggested this cute cafe downtown and I thought, okay, cool, simple, low pressure. I show up a few minutes early, order an iced latte because I was already kind of nervous, and wait. Then I see him walk in, with another woman. At first I thought maybe his sister. Friend? Coworker who randomly needed a ride? Nope. He walks right up, gives me a hug, and goes, "This is my mom. I figured she'd love to meet you." I laughed because I thought he was joking. Like, huh, Kevin's got jokes. But his mom smiled, sat down across from me, and started asking me questions like I was interviewing for the position of wife number 1. Now, I'm not trying to be rude, she was actually really nice, maybe too nice, but I was caught so off guard. I asked, wait, she's staying for the whole date? And Kevin says, yeah, we always do this. My mom gives me vibes on girls I date. It saves time. I choked on my latte. Not only was I being judged by a complete stranger, but apparently this was a recurring thing for him. Like, this woman has probably sat through more dates than I have this year. After about 10 minutes of weird small talk, his mom asked if I wanted kids and if I was spiritual but not religious. I just stood up, said hey, I think I'm gonna head out, and left. I didn't make a scene. I paid for my drink. I even smiled on the way out. But Kevin texted me later calling me disrespectful and said I didn't give him or his mom a fair chance. I showed this to my group chat and half of them were crying laughing, while the other half said I could have just stayed and been polite. But honestly, I didn't sign up for a family dinner interview on a first date. So Reddit, Aita for leaving mid-date because a guy brought his mom and didn't warn me. Comments. Commenter 1. WTF. That dude is cracked. Bet he doesn't get a lot of second dates. NTA. Reply, right? I felt like I accidentally walked into a Meet the Parents reboot. I was just waiting for her to pull out a checklist and ask for my family medical history. Definitely no second date, unless he brings his grandma next time for backup. Commenter 2. Anyone who told you should have stayed is delusional. There's a very good reason that Kevin is single, and that's because he is a mama's boy. You obviously did the right thing by leaving. Reply, right? I was starting to wonder if I was the weird one for not wanting a third wheel on a first date, haha. Like, I'm all for close families, but not mom evaluates my romantic prospects over coffee close. Thank you. I feel so validated now. Commenter 3. NTA. I really wish people would stop with the stay and be polite. Just know. You won't owe anyone your time. You're not responsible for being polite and sparing his feelings. You were polite. You didn't waste any more or your or his time. Reply, thank you. That's exactly how I felt. Like, I wasn't rude, I just didn't sign up for a surprise audition in front of someone's mom. I honestly thought I was being polite by just leaving quietly and not making it awkward. Glad someone gets it. Stories number 20. My 39M son 16M came out and my wife 37F took it extremely badly. The long and short of it is that my son came out to me and my wife took it extremely badly. And I don't know how to handle either one of them, although for completely different reasons. Basically, here's how things happened. Wednesday, when I came home from work, my son said he had something to tell me. He was obviously fidgety about something, and after a bit of rambling he eventually told me he was gay. To be honest, I already knew. He's a good kid and pretty damn smart, but I'm a programmer and therefore the computer guy. I'm the one that everyone calls to fix their computers and laptop. So without drawing a picture, I already knew he was gay. So when he finally came out to me, I was actually kind of relieved. He and I have always had a good relationship, but he never told me and I was kind of wondering if maybe we didn't have such a good relationship. In any case, I did the dad thing of telling him that I loved him and all I really wanted from him was for him to be safe and happy. He was just really relieved, I guess. Anyway, he asked me to be there when he told his mother, which now that I think about it is probably why he came to me first. Now, she is a deeply religious woman. She wasn't always, but somewhere along the line she turned from being just somewhat religious to being deeply devout, and if I'm being honest, I couldn't really pin down when or how that happened. I'm not religious in the slightest, although I do the occasional church-going and church-related functions to make her happy. Anyway, when she got home I waited for my son to take the lead on when to tell her. It's when he told her that things went to hell. I don't think she really believed it at first, probably thought it was some kind of joke or something, but when she realized it wasn't, first started crying and then went into what I can only call a rage. He tried to calm her down and I tried to help to get her to not see this as the end of the world. But she kept going on about how this wasn't the plan for him and about grandkids and a bunch of other things. But she just kept working herself into some kind of frenzy. Eventually she went to his room and starts dumping his clothes and tells him to get out of the house. My son is bawling at this point, and I just completely flip out. I order him to go to my bedroom and stay in there. And I just unleash on her. I pretty much say what kind of mother is she and that I'll be 3 weeks dead and buried before I let him leave, and she gets angry at me for backing her up on this and that being gay is wrong and bunch of other bullshit. Anyway, after a hell of a heated fight she leaves and goes to stay at her parents'. I try talking to my son, he's just devastated and blaming himself for everything. And I'm not sure what to do here. I let my son skip school the last couple of days as a kind of mental health day, although I let him know that he will go back on Monday. I haven't spoken to my wife since that night, and I'm not even sure what I could or should say to her, and I'm not sure how to handle my son either. He's not the usual self and I don't know how to get him to stop blaming himself. He says he wants to spend the night at a friend's house, which is fine. I figure his friends can offer different kinds of support than I can. But I'm at a complete loss. I think I did my best, although writing this I realized that since I knew he was gay for a while I should try to slowly ease her into the idea to make this less explosive, or maybe if I stayed calm earlier I could have handled it less emotionally. I just don't know where to go from here or how to handle any of this. Update. Edit. Wow everyone, thank you all so much for all your support. Some people have sent me various websites that I should look at, which I'm slowly making my way through. As for my son, we haven't spoken since he left last night. As for my wife, I think I'm going to be waiting on her to make some kind of overture to speak at least through the weekend, give her some time and space to get herself together. If I don't hear from her by Monday, I guess I'll call her and try to figure out where to go from here. I did post this on a gay subreddit to get some more feedback from other people after someone here recommended that. I'm still reading through everyone's responses. Thank you all again so much for your help and support. Update. Wow, thank you all for the unbelievably kind words. I'm trying to read all your responses and PMs, but there was a lot more than I expected. I am reading them all and making sure to note many of the websites, videos, and organizations you have told me about. The people over at r/parenting, as well as you all mentioned PFLAG, we all live in the Louisiana area very close to New Orleans. I'm certain there is something like them there. I'll be doing some reading up on them as soon as I finish this post. I wish I had some kind of big update, but nothing really. I didn't sleep much this week and I passed out shortly after posting the original message. I did talk to my son after I woke up. He got home sometime earlier today. He seems to be holding up okay, but you guys did put the fear of him doing something rash in my mind. I'm going to talk to him again and see what I can about finding some kind of family therapist to help. As for my wife, I decided to give her some time and space, at least until Monday. If I haven't heard from her by then I'll try to contact her, and depending on what she says will determine where we go. I do want to make it clear that I don't think it will come to divorce or anything like that, but if the worst were to pass, I will choose my son. If it's a choice between him and anything else, he wins. He always wins. Some people asked about our location, which is Louisiana near New Orleans, and her faith, which is Southern Baptist. There also seemed to be some confusion about the timeline regarding when my son went to his friend's house. He went last night, Friday. Everything else happened on Wednesday. He does sleep over at his friend's occasionally, or his friend here. They usually spend way too much time watching movies or playing something on the PC or PS4. Also, he is 16, I'm 39, and his mother is 37. Again, I want to thank you all so much for your support. I promise I'm reading all your replies and will take any advice to heart. Just thanks again for everything. Comments. Commenter, you are a wonderful father. Just keep being there for your son, like you already are. One really specific piece of advice is to text him the supportive stuff you're already saying to him, maybe a little after he leaves for his friend's house tonight. It feels really good to be able to go back and look at that stuff in writing. If you feel paralyzed when trying to put feelings in writing like that, but you could start with "I've been thinking about," and then something you haven't said to him yet, like, how brave it was for you to come out to your mom knowing that she might react hurtfully or something like that. Then just, "I want you to know I'm so proud of you, I love you, I'll always be there for you, etc." I know that's a crazy specific suggestion, but he will probably read that text over and over in a way that he can't do with the things you say to him in person. It also might help him to get him into therapy or a support group. But really, you're already doing the most important things. You're being a loving supportive presence in his life, shielding him from his mom's toxicity as best you can, and assuring him this is not his fault. He is really lucky to have you. Reply, I'll be honest, I read this and I wasn't sure if I should or not. I just felt like maybe he went to his friend's place to get his mind off things or something, but between your message and a PM I received earlier, I decided to send him a text saying something very similar to what you said, telling him that I love him and what he did was one of the bravest things I've ever seen and I couldn't be prouder of him. I'm not sure if it will mean a lot to him or just get an eye roll, but figure better to have it said than not. Update. Hello everyone. I wasn't sure if I wanted to post this update. I'm not one of someone who really feels the need to post everything about their lives on the internet, and I really didn't want to really post a message in a subreddit about gay men and women answering questions without posting an actual question. But everyone here has been incredibly kind and supportive, and despite posting the message nearly a week ago, I'm still receiving an influx of supportive messages from people, so I'm writing this update to let people know what's been going on. If no one cares or it's off topic, then please by all means downvote this into oblivion. I guess I'll start with my son. You all really put the fear of him hurting himself into my head. So I ended up talking to him about it in what I can only describe as the most miserable conversation of my entire life. I talked to him about how much I love him, how I always want him here, and he's the most important thing in the world to me and I don't know what I would do if he were gone. Then, I gave him one of my business cards. It has my work number on it obviously, but I also wrote my cell number on it in case he doesn't have access to his phone to remember what it is, but also had the number from the Trevor Project, which someone has kind of enough to tell me about, as well the number from the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. I told him please put the card in his wallet, and if he ever feels like he's going to hurt himself to please call me or one of those other numbers. He took it, said thanks, and he was really trying his damnest to reassure me that he wasn't really thinking about anything like that. We only had one more real heart-to-heart conversation that same exact night actually. I was in the living room trying to find something to watch on Netflix or Hulu and he approached me. He kind of sat there for a while and then apologized for making me worry and for starting everything that's happened. I tried my best to shut that down as hard as I could. Told he didn't have anything to apologize for, that nothing that is going on is his fault, that he was only doing what I've always told him to do, which is be honest with me, and that's what he did, and that I'm proud of him. I know I'm probably sounding like a broken record to him at this point, but I really feel like I need to hammer that home. I did bring up that I was thinking of us going to some family counseling. To be honest, I was actually expecting a lot of pushback here. That he would think I was trying to fix him or something. But nothing, he seemed okay with it. The rest of the night was really nice, just us watching TV together and just talking about nothing. The rest of the week with him I tried my best to keep things as normal as possible for him, just like how it would be otherwise. I really wanted to give him a sense of normalcy. Other than him spending a lot more time in the living room watching TV with me instead of in his bedroom, things are okay, I guess. He's still not himself, but he's more himself than he was last week. And I'm not sure if he's spending more time with me because he wants to be sure I'm around, or he wants to reassure me, or if he just wants access to the bigger TV in the living room. A few of you did mention that I should do what I can to remind him that our house means it's his house too. So I told him to invite his friends to stay over this weekend, which they are. Actually, just dropped them all off at the movies a while ago. They are going to go watch something, then get something to eat afterwards and call me to pick them up. But yeah, I'm just trying to help him get to normal. As for my wife, things didn't go well. I did call her late on Monday after my son went to bed. I will also admit that while I do love her, I was also very upset with her. I was trying to give her time and space to process things, and I know it's not fair to get more angry with someone that you are purposely giving space to be less angry, but I was not happy that I was the one that I had to do the reaching out first. But I tried put that aside and wanted to know where her head was at. I knew there were going to be things we needed if we were going to find a way to get past this. So I kind of made a list of them into my head. The first is we all needed to go to family counseling and I had to be the one that choose who the counselor was. Next was that she had to find some way to get past the gay thing, whether it be therapy or prayer or whatever, I don't care, but she needed to find a way to just deal with it. And third, she needed to find a way to make it up to him, and again I don't care how. I feel like this was a reasonable list. Anything else would be up for discussion, but I was going to die on those hills. And when we talked Monday, she agreed he needed counseling, however she felt we should go to one sponsored by the church. I told her that was off the table. I wanted a counselor who could be neutral and who I could trust when left alone with him. And we circled this point until nearly 3 a.m. So we decided to pick this up again on Tuesday, where we had the exactly same discussion until very late in the night. And then we did all again on Wednesday. Wednesday night I told her that we needed to do this in person and finally fucking get somewhere with this. So Thursday morning, I told my son I was going to be very late coming home, left him some money to order a pizza and told him that he and his friends could start their weekend shenanigans a day early if they liked. And then after work on Thursday, I went over to her folks and we tried to have this talk again. And we got nowhere with it. I just refused to go to someone I can't trust, so sometime later, I don't know, I guess I let go. I just gave up. I broke. I just couldn't fucking do it anymore. I just couldn't keep circling that fucking wagon anymore. I know you shouldn't make life-altering decisions when you've only had maybe 8 hours of sleep spread over about 9 days and none of it in intervals greater than 20 goddamn minutes. But I was just done, I just couldn't do it anymore. I tried, I really did. I really wanted to make it work. We were together since college and I do love her, but I just can't do it. I can't create a situation where my son could be hurt, especially now. I have to be there for him, someone has to be. So I said it's probably for the best that we stay apart and I would bring her the rest of her things over this weekend, and I left. I went to Walmart, grabbed some boxes, cried for about half an hour in my car, and then went home. Got home at some ungodly hour to find a couple of my son's friends asleep on my couch. I realized that when I told my son to invite his friends, I meant to spend the day, and he thought I meant to spend the night. I ordinarily don't like having other people's kids in my house during a school night, but whatever, I blame myself for not being clearer, and am going to have to gently remind him of that fact later. I couldn't sleep last night, I was quite literally too tired to sleep. So I waited until the time my kid goes to school. Woke them all up, made them all breakfast, sent them all off to school, sent my boss an email taking a sick day. And then finally fell asleep for about 10 hours. Which brings me to now, where I drove my kid and his friends to the movies. I've decided I'm not ever going to tell my son about some of things she said when we were talking. I don't want to make him feel worse, and I do actually want them to have some kind of relationship in the future, and I don't feel any need to add poison to the well. As for now, I'm going to go do something to get my mind off things, maybe play a game or watch TV or just browse Reddit until I need to pick them up. I do actually want to thank everyone again for all your messages. I think I've read and reread every message a half a dozen times. It was nice to see so many good people. A lot of your stories were really heartbreaking. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. I wish you had someone in your corner. Everyone deserves someone in their corner. As one internet stranger to another, you are all really strong people. Comments. Commenter, I really don't want to be the one, since you love her and all, but your wife seems like a total snatch, and to be honest you're never gonna get anywhere with a viper of a woman, which is how she appears throughout this story. I honestly recommend divorce. Religion clouds all rationality and she's only gonna go further in. I know it sucks, but it really comes down to who you care about more. Which obviously in and of itself is an impossible decision to make. So I'm sorry. But, congratulations for being so steadfast and brave and supporting your son through this time. You do what many parents wouldn't. Thank you for setting such a wonderful example. Reply, actually that's where it is going. I didn't put it in the update, but yeah. I'm probably going to contact a divorce attorney on Monday. I haven't figured out how to tell my son yet. But that's a tomorrow problem. I just don't want to think tonight. Stories number 21. Aita for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend isn't welcome in our home. My F48 husband am 46 and I have a 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, who is currently on vacation from college. About 5 months or so ago, Ellie told us that she had a new boyfriend who I'll call Tom. This came rather out of the blue as Ellie hadn't mentioned seeing anyone or that she was dating, but both my husband and I were supportive and happy for her. However, Ellie was strangely secretive about the whole situation. Usually, she's an open book especially with me and would always share details of her personal life. On this occasion, she wouldn't show any pictures, and we knew next to no information about Tom, other than that they met at a party through a mutual friend. Ellie spent the past month of her vacation in her college town and the plan was always for her to come back this weekend. Ellie asked if she could bring Tom with her for a few days of the trip as they were getting serious, and she wanted him to meet us. Although we mentioned that we knew barely anything about him, Ellie expressed that it would be a surprise and that we'd love him. Given he's clearly an important part of our daughter's life, we agreed and said we'd look forward to spending the weekend together. Yesterday morning, we went to pick up Ellie and Tom from the airport to drive them to our place and we were shocked. We knew instantly that Tom was much older than Ellie and he certainly wasn't a college student. I was just in a state of surprise but didn't want to cause a scene and told my husband to do the same. We drove home but it was a frosty journey, which Ellie commented on. When we arrived, my husband point blank asked Tom how old he was. Tom said he was 44. I was immediately disgusted. He's only 2 years younger than my husband and old enough to be Ellie's father. My husband continued to interrogate him, asking how they met and the whole background. Ellie explained that it was at a party and Tom was there because he's well known around the town and they realized they had a lot in common and hit it off from there. I really didn't want to hear any more, and my husband told Tom to leave. Ellie shouted and said how unfair this was and we hadn't even given Tom a chance and that he made her happy. Tom could sense the tension so left and Ellie followed behind him. I texted Ellie to tell her we'd love to see her and to come over to discuss the situation. She asked if Tom was welcome, and I said he wasn't. Therefore, after labeling me a judgmental ****, she told me she wasn't coming and that they would be staying at a local hotel and catching up with friends. I feel terrible about the whole situation and don't want to lose my daughter over it. My husband isn't budging and says he'd have to be held back if he ever saw that man again. Am I Aita for saying he isn't welcome or have I done the right thing? Comments. Commenter 1. I was your daughter once. Nearly same age gap with the guy I was dating. The absolute best thing my parents did was keep the lines of communication open between us, because as the guy started to systematically cut me off from all the other people in my life, when I finally went to cut bait it was my parents who stepped out to catch me. Commenter 2. I had similar and my foster dad was what I believed, amazingly chill, about me dating a guy in his mid-30s when I was 19. I spoke to him over a decade later and he said he wanted to deck the guy, but knew if he pushed me then I'd dig my heels in and the relationship would go on far longer. Instead, he asked me to check in so he knew where I was and when I'd be back to make sure I was safe. He did however do other things to gently highlight the inequality of the relationship. For example, he'd make sure to say how nice I looked every time I left the house. The boyfriend would send me back to the house for not wearing makeup/the right clothes. It didn't take too long for me to put 2 and 2 together and realize the boyfriend was a control freak who wanted a trophy girlfriend. Commenter 3. Dads really can make or break a girl. My dad frequently commented how nice I looked. How it looked like I'd been working out. Not in a creepy way but in a way that helped my self-esteem. Why would I believe some loser guy telling me I need to lose a few pounds when I'd grown up with someone telling me how good I looked? I'm 47 years old with a 16-year-old son dealing with acne and he's been on medication. The other day my 73-year-old dad told my son how good he looked and how the medicine was really working. Commenter 4. You sure he wasn't one of her professors? Commenter 5. From the read, he's the party stalker. Chasing college girls. Commenter 6. Sometimes they're the same thing, especially in areas where there are several colleges. I was friendly once with a professor in suburban Philadelphia who was always dating college women, just not from the one that employed him. Update. First off, I wanted to thank everyone for their comments and messages yesterday. I was overwhelmed with the responses and didn't expect my post to gain so much attention. I know opinions were quite split, but I appreciate everyone for being honest. Please accept my apologies for not responding to anyone, but there has been a lot on my mind so I thought it would be best to provide an update for those interested. For those who haven't read the whole post, a brief summary is my 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, brought home her boyfriend of 5 months, Tom, to our house. Tom happens to be 44, and my husband and I told Tom that he wasn't welcome in our home. Ellie and Tom are currently staying in a nearby hotel. I was incredibly down throughout most of Sunday, so I spoke to my husband and said that I really wanted to see Ellie. However, I knew that wouldn't be possible without also seeing Tom, so I mentioned to my husband about meeting Ellie and Tom at a neutral location for brunch today. I asked my husband if he wanted to join, but he said he didn't feel in the right frame of mind at this stage, so we agreed that I would go alone. I was anxious throughout the drive, but when I met Ellie, those nerves subsided relatively quickly. I was generally just happy to see her and that she was well. I still felt a bit uncomfortable around Tom, but I thought this was the opportunity to find out more about him and his intentions, as it were. We sat down and I tried to find out as much information about Tom as possible. When I asked him to elaborate on being known around a college town and being at the same party as Ellie, Tom said he used to go to the same college when he was Ellie's age, loved the place and decided to never leave. Throughout his time, he still frequented the main bars and places that college students do, which meant he remained in the community in some form. I found it quite an unsettling response but remained polite. In terms of other details I learned, Tom has never been married, nor does he have any children. He works as a software engineer and enjoys cooking and meditation in his spare time. Something felt off about him, but maybe I already had my preconceptions. Ellie spoke more about what a good match they were and how much in common they had. When I asked her to elaborate, she spoke about how they both love the same spots around town and campus with apparently the same love of sushi, and she's never met someone so mature and understanding. Tom also said that Ellie was perfect for him and he was serious. I probed if he'd had many other relationships with younger women. Ellie didn't enjoy this question, but Tom said that he generally didn't do relationships, yet something about Ellie had drawn him in. Eventually, after about 2 hours, we ended the brunch. Ellie said how nice it had been and she was so happy I had shown an interest in Tom before asking whether they could both come to dinner some evening. I told her that would be nice, but I would have to speak to her dad. Tom shook my hand and that was that. My husband remains reluctant, but I feel it's the right thing to do if we want to maintain a relationship with Ellie. I didn't like Tom off first impressions and this hasn't done much to convince me. Something is just off there and some of his answers solidified my thoughts about him not being right for Ellie. I suppose I'll have to remain open-minded but appreciate any thoughts. Comments. Commenter 1. Please make sure she's on reliable birth control. Commenter 2. And with him being so well known around town it's probably best they use condoms too. Update. For context for those who haven't read the original post and first update, my 20-year-old daughter Ellie brought home her boyfriend, Tom, from college for the first time. He turned out to be 44, and it's been a huge shock to my husband and I. I met him without my husband and my daughter for brunch without feeling entirely comfortable about the situation, but my biggest priority is not losing my daughter. After I came home from brunch, I spoke to my husband about the possibility of Tom and Ellie joining us for dinner one evening. My husband was completely against it, but I told him that if we still wanted to exercise some degree of control over the situation before we pushed Ellie away entirely, this was something we had to agree to. It took a lot of convincing but my husband agreed and we invited Tom and Ellie to come round the Saturday just gone. Before then, I ended up talking to my oldest daughter and Ellie's sister, Holly 23, about the situation. Holly was shocked and Ellie had told her nothing. Holly decided to do some social media digging but struggled because Tom didn't have much of an online presence. She said she was coming to dinner on Saturday, although I was reluctant because it seemed like it would spiral. I eventually said yes. So, we get to the dinner on Saturday, and Holly just continually grills Tom. It was far, far worse than I did. She asked him if younger girls were his type, why someone his age is still hanging around at college parties and other small remarks. Ellie told her multiple times to leave her alone, and I tried to act as a mediator. My husband was just silently seething, and I could tell how uncomfortable he felt in Tom's presence. Eventually, Tom and Ellie said they had some big news to share. Ellie announced that she and Tom were planning to move in together for the upcoming college year. I almost spat my drink out. Ellie had planned to live with other friends and when I questioned this, Tom answered that he realized that he probably won't have another long-term relationship. Ellie makes him so happy, and he doesn't want to waste any time with who I want to be my wife and the future mother of my children. At this point, my husband lost it and told Tom to get out of his house. Tom stood up and seemed affronted and Ellie started crying. I couldn't remember the last time my husband had shouted like that, and I think it surprised Ellie. Holly said it was deserved and said she needed to get away from the pedo freak. It all ended up with Ellie leaving in tears with Tom, my husband going upstairs, and I was just inconsolable. I've reached out to Ellie since but she hasn't responded. I don't want her to move in with Tom and it seems he's trying to derail her whole life. She's 20 and does not need to be married and have kids, especially with someone his age. She's never had a relationship before though, and she appears infatuated to the extent she's not going to listen. My husband has told me that if Ellie marries Tom, that is it and he wouldn't want a relationship with her going forwards. I can't agree with that and will always love Ellie, but it doesn't mean that the whole situation hasn't made me incredibly sad. I would appreciate any advice. Comments. Commenter 1. He 100% knows what he's doing. He's driving a wedge between you and Ellie, he's moving her in with him instead of letting her move in with her friends. He's isolating her, so she relies on him. I'm sure Ellie's friends clocked creepy Tom the second they met him, and he knew it, so they obviously couldn't stay. Just drive into her head that she can always come to you, no matter what she needs. You may not support her relationship, but you will always support her, because she will need it. Unfortunately, there's no telling how long it'll take her to realize it. She could wake up tomorrow and realize how shitty her situation is, or it could take her 10 years. Regardless, be there for her, with or without your husband's support. Commenter 2. This needs to be the #1 comment. Ask Ellie out for lunch by herself and tell her that you will support her relationship as long as she's happy. Really emphasize that part, and let her know that you are always available to her, no matter what happens and without judgment. You might not always agree with her decisions, but you love her and will always love her, etc. Hiring a PI might drive a further wedge between you because he's make it seem like they are being persecuted, and they have a star-crossed lovers, kind of romance. You can squash that by refusing to play his game. Give her unconditional love and tell her how smart she is. I guarantee he's live bombing the heck out of her right now, and you gave to fight fire with fire. Give her positive love and encouragement. Tell her how proud you are of her studies, etc. and talk about her life and how her other relationships are doing. Update. For those who don't want to read the whole post, the long and the short of it is Ellie is engaged and pregnant. The engagement happened around January, after only around a year of dating, and the pregnancy was announced in March. Ellie is keeping the baby and is due late this year. I'm still heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with the whole affair. Ellie was so bright, cheery, and with an active social life. Now she lives with Tom in her college town despite having dropped out of college herself due to the pregnancy with barely any friends due to most of them distancing themselves from her because of Tom. My husband is also low contact with Ellie and wants nothing to do with Tom, while my daughter Holly also feels the same way and wants nothing to do with Ellie or her baby for as long as she remains with the predator. I still keep in contact with Ellie as much as I can, not only because I love her but also as I know that if things crumble, she'll have no one to turn to. She's ostracized herself, which makes me incredibly sad, and I never thought things would turn out this way. There was a glimmer of hope around March time, where Ellie called me on the phone in tears after discovering that Tom had cheated on her unsurprisingly, with another college student, and an even younger one than Ellie. Although I did try and talk some sense into her and figured this would be a wake-up call, she decided to stay with him after a combination of love bombing and finding out she was pregnant. The wedding has been set for next summer so the baby can be focused on now. My husband and other daughter have already decided they won't go and many others on my side of the family are uncomfortable with the idea. I'm trying to stay strong and hope I will love my grandchild but this isn't something that will ever get easier. If there are any other groundbreaking updates, I will try to share, if not, I appreciate everyone's support and advice. It really meant more than you know. Comments. Commenter 1. Love bombing, younger easily controllable person and isolation. The trifecta of an abuser. Commenter 2. I think there is also a good chance he baby trapped her. He gets a child that he wouldn't probably get with an older partner and a wife who will put up with his cheating. Commenter 3. Considering that she seems to be aging out on him, cause he wants younger, I think he didn't baby trap her so much as he is an that doesn't use protection cause it feels better and she got pregnant because neither of them use protection. Commenter 4. She's the domestic servant now, he will still go out and do what he wants with younger women. She will be mistreated and trapped at home and he will do nothing for her. Commenter 5. I suggest you hire a private investigator to check him out. I think there is a lot more about his guy, and you'll find it if you pay someone. If he cheated once, he'll cheat again. You might see if an investigator can do an electronic check on him as well. If it were my daughter, I'd be doing a honey trap and getting lots of photos and recordings. If your daughter realizes he's a serial cheater, she will be more likely to leave a man like that. Make sure you have money set aside to help her get out. Do not send it to her. Buy the tickets, pay for what she needs directly. Be sure to check grandparent laws in your state. Sorry, you're going through this. Stories number 22. I 30M bought a ring but I'm not excited to get engaged/married to my 28 FGF. Anyone who has felt this way, how did it end up? We've been dating for almost 4 years. Of the 6 people I've dated, she's been my best and longest relationship. We trust each other and rarely fight. She checks most of the boxes for me. She's the first partner I've ever missed when we have to part for the week. I like her companionship and we enjoy mutual hobbies together. The sex is good. The physical affection is lacking. Our eventual marriage has been a foregone conclusion until recently. I initially thought she could be the one. Then a year in I thought yep, she's the one. I always pictured myself having children and still kinda do, but within the last year we decided that likely isn't the best choice. See children at the bottom for details. We aren't starting a family, I'm indifferent to homeownership, and a wedding only changes our tax brackets. There is no next for us, just the same, happy life that we've been living. Our relationship is on the plateau, so I just don't feel excited at all. I feel slightly nervous, but I think that's normal for any major life decision. I don't think I can write heartfelt vows like those I've heard at other weddings. See feelings in the appendix for details. Anyway, aside from my hyper-specific case, has anyone else just not been excited for marriage despite everything else being good? Appendix children. 2 years ago I decided she was more important than my roughly 70% desire to start a family. I don't want kids or to do kid things or to have less freedom and more chores. I want purpose, hope, successors, and family when I'm old. Feelings. My feelings for her are more like hot embers rather than flames. There's no passion, but I don't feel passion anywhere in my life, so it may just be a me thing. I haven't really had any intense feelings after the first 3 months in any relationship. The most notable feelings I have is when she puts her head on my chest and my heart glows. If that isn't love, then IDK what love is. Note I'm a worrier. It's better that I'm not left alone with my thoughts because I will always find something to ruminate about. This makes me wonder if I'm manufacturing relationship problems. Note she knows I have the ring and I've talked to her about this and she's been stressed and not ready for engagement too, before we talked. I bought the ring after she asked to go shopping together before this, 10 months ago. Would I sacrifice myself to save her? Maybe. If I knew we could split up and both end up in better relationships, yes I'd split. Note yes, I need to try therapy again. TLDR, my relationship has plateaued, so I'm not excited for the future with her, but we enjoy the present together. Comments. Commenter 1. I sometimes wonder if our phones and constant instant gratification dumb our brain chemistry down and now we can't feel anything anymore. Commenter 2. I'd be heartbroken if my husband talked about us like this. Commenter 3. You want successors but not kids? I'm confused. Stories number 23. Wibta for attending my ex's wedding with our kids he abandoned. My ex-husband 36M and I 34F divorced 6 years ago. It was messy. We were young, impulsive, and he was chasing a lifestyle I couldn't keep up with, partying, status, image. When I got pregnant, he panicked. Said he wasn't ready to be a dad, and walked away. I never took him to court. I just raised our twins 6M and 6F alone. He never met them. Never asked. I moved cities, built a quiet life, and let go of the anger for the most part. A few months ago, I got a wedding invitation. From him. It was handwritten. Would love for you to come. No hard feelings. Hope you're doing well. I was stunned. We hadn't spoken in years. I found out later he'd told people we split because I couldn't handle his ambition. That I was clingy and dramatic. No mention of the kids. I wasn't planning to go. But something in me snapped. Maybe it was petty. Maybe it was protective. I RSVP'd yes, and brought our children with me. I didn't make a scene. I dressed them nicely. We sat quietly in the back. But when he saw us, his face drained. His fiancée looked confused. His mother, who had begged me years ago to keep the kids quiet, looked like she'd seen a ghost. After the ceremony, he pulled me aside. Asked why I came. I said, you invited me. I thought you wanted to show off. So I brought the most beautiful thing you ever made. He didn't speak. Just stared at the twins, who were holding hands and looking around like it was a fairy tale. Now mutual friends are saying I ruined his wedding. That I was vindictive. That I should have let him have his day. Wibta for showing up with the truth he's been running from. Stories number 24. Am I in the wrong for not wanting to get back with my ex because my brother said so? Hey everyone. I'm really trying to make sense of the absolute movie I've been thrown in. For context, I am 20 and I was dating my ex-boyfriend, 21, for 2 years. My ex is my brother's best friend from childhood, so I basically grew up with him. I always had a crush on him but only did something about it after high school when we started dating. He was my world. We were perfect. There wasn't a day he wasn't by my side. I really loved him. 2 weeks ago I found out he cheated on me with a girl at a party. He came to me immediately afterwards crying and asking me for forgiveness. I shattered. Literally shattered. Like glass. I didn't even respond. I grabbed my keys and left him in my own house. My brother called me a few hours later saying he heard what happened and tried to comfort me. We talked for a while and I told him that I'm breaking up with him. He said that wasn't a good idea. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Not a good idea that I break up with a guy who cheated on me. He complained that my ex was his best friend and he would be really bummed if I broke up with him. Like what? I told him I really didn't care. I didn't even think he'd still want to be friends with him after finding out he cheated on his sister. Anyway, I'm not getting back together with him. Don't get me wrong, I loved him a lot, but he cheated on me and that's a level of disrespect I will never tolerate. My brother and I are not on speaking terms and my mom is kind of on his side. She said that he's just defending his friend. But I'm literally his sister. There's a lot more that went on in between, but I don't want to make this post too long. Let me know if you want me to go into more detail. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, so, who's your brother cheated on? You know kind stays with kind. Reply, you're not wrong. But honestly my brother has never been able to keep a talking stage, much less a girlfriend. However, if he does end up cheating on someone I won't be surprised. Commenter 2, NTA. Because of brother's actions, now he gets to share the award your ex already gets. You are 100% in the right and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Honestly, your brother's actions are worse than your ex's imo. As a brother myself with a younger sister, that is a sacred bond he broke. I am so sorry you are dealing with this. I seriously hope he realizes he FD up and makes things right. Reply, I agree. The worst part is that this is absolutely not like him. We used to be super protective and all throughout high school he'd threaten to beat up any guy who came near me. I don't know what happened. Commenter 3, his friend is known so you deemed safe. He didn't need to wear the mantle anymore. Playing the stereotype of an high school brother, was it love or obligation? Reply, honestly I really did love him. I had a huge teenage girl crush on him all throughout high school, but I was scared it would get complicated or he'd reject me. I'd even write about him in my journal. It was really embarrassing. Commenter 4, was your brother with him at the party? By the way, NTA, on the other hand, your brother is an ass. This is the kind of stuff you remember for the rest of your life. Reply, he wasn't with him at the party and quite honestly I don't think there was a party. I think it was just a scapegoat. Update 1, hey again. So some of you wanted me to go into more detail and some of you had some questions about my brother and how he felt about our relationship at first. I'll start with saying that when I told my brother, who is 22 BTW, I was breaking up with his best friend, he was angry. I mean like really mad. He kept telling me that I was trying to hurt his best friend and have him deal with a bummed out friend and whatnot. Obviously I was taken aback. He then went to go tell on me to my mom. My mom called me really upset. She said that I should stop working my brother's nerves and all kinds of nonsense. I told her the full story because obviously my brother didn't. I told her how my ex cheated on me. All she said was oh, then hung up. Hadn't heard from her since. I won't lie, my mom has always favored my brother, but I excused it as a boy mom thing. She's never neglected me or treated me badly before, she just had an obvious favorite. I've also never been one to do the most for anyone's approval. A few of you had questions about my brother too. Like if he was a cheater too, and if he approved of my relationship in the first place. For the first question, my brother is a loser. He's really immature, so naturally girls don't want to spend a lot of time with him. I've told him several times that he should grow up or he'll be single forever. So, to answer your question, my brother has never even had the chance to cheat. As for the second question, my brother found it awkward at first but then he got over it. Plus me dating his best friend meant he'd practically see him 24/7, so I guess he didn't mind that much. He just didn't like the PDA and all that stuff. There isn't much to update on. My ex has tried and failed to contact me. All my friends have blocked him and no one is giving him any of my info. He's even tried contacting my boss. My brother is still insisting I talk to my ex. I continue to tell him to leave me alone. My mom is radio silent and honestly it's for the best. Will I get over this? Sure, but it'll take some time. I don't think this is something to get therapy over, but it'll need some healing. Thank you for all your lovely comments and messages. It's comforting to know there are people on my wavelength who understand that cheating is loser behavior and tolerance for it is even weirder. Relevant comments. OOP on being grooming. Reply, I don't think I was groomed. I had always had a crush on him. He never really seemed interested in it. Much too busy being a boy. Plus we're only a few months apart. We spend most of the year being the same age, so I don't think so. To be honest, I wouldn't be able to point out whether it was grooming or not, but I don't think so. Commenter 1, do you live alone? I suggest you reach out to your brother and tell him how hurt you are about him putting his best friend above you, his only sister. Let him know you will be going low contact, and if he still tries to suggest you forget that your ex cheated and to get back with him, you will cut his out from your life. Also text your ex and tell him to not contact you or your employer, and that if he does it again you will report him for harassment. If you live alone, change your locks and then your number. Reply, I live in an apartment with a roommate, but I live close to home so I visit often. I think I'll be limiting those visits too. Commenter 2, thanks for the update. I hope your mother comes around, but I wouldn't hold my breath. She is likely fully on your brother's side, which is a shame, considering that would put her on the same side as your cheating ex. Where is your dad in all this? Still mta screw cheaters and everyone who defends or sides with them. Reply, thanks for the comment. Unfortunately my dad passed when I was really young, so he's not in the picture. Update 2, hey again. I contemplated posting this for hours because it's just so much and so little at the same time. Edit, I want to preface this by saying that I'm 1000% not getting back together with anyone. I'd made my decision from the beginning and they can try all they want, but it's not happening. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and messaged me offering support and advice. It really means a lot to me. I stalk this sub often, so the community means a lot. I spoke to my ex again through text to tell him to leave me alone and stop trying to contact me. I also told him to come get the stuff he left at my apartment. He went on to tell me that he needed to tell me something. That he said he needed to tell me the truth. I did not respond, but he kept texting anyway. He proceeded to tell me that he made everything up. The cheating story and everything. Obviously I didn't believe him at first, but then he went on. However, you guys need to understand that I really love this man and have for years, so there's a part of me that wants to take his word for it. Anyway, he told me that he planned the whole thing with my brother. Like it was some kind of sick prank. Who does that? He called it a test. A test? For what? He told me to call my brother and tell him to tell me the truth. Keep in mind that all of this happened in a day, by the way, so it was crazy. He went on and on about how much he still loves me and how he wishes he never listened to my brother. I felt physically sick. It felt like whiplash. A few hours later I called my brother and told him to open up, just to see his reaction and if I'd get a similar story from him. Surprisingly, his story was somewhat similar, except he made it look like he was just told to keep up with the lie rather than being part of the planning. He also told me that he was urging me to get back with my ex because he knew that nothing really happened and we would have broken up over nothing. I still think that is very stupid. I really don't know what to think. Who is telling the truth? Why did I need to be tested? Why the hell am I still in love with this jerk? A lot of questions and no answers. A few of you had some issues with my mom and they're all justified. From a young age I knew she had her favorites, but I am very likable, so if I wasn't getting her attention it really didn't bother me. I know that sounds cocky, but it's the truth. We talked and she told me that she hadn't known that I was cheated on until I told her and gave me a curt apology. I also don't know if she's telling the truth. She also told me that she scolded my brother for lying to her and hurting my feelings. As if that was meant to make me feel better. Anyway, our relationship will continue to strain anyway, so I'd rather not focus on that. Some of you asked where my dad is in all this. Unfortunately, my dad is no longer with us. He passed away 12 years ago and it still breaks my heart. I was always told that I was the apple of his eye and his world didn't seem complete until I was born. I carry him with me everywhere I go. I find comfort in the idea that he would have stuck up for me right now. I love him so much even till this day. I'm currently typing all this very late at night because I've been pondering all day. This has practically consumed my life and I'm sick of it. It also doesn't help that my town is relatively tiny and everyone from my graduating class already knows everything. I'm more fed up than I am sad, but I won't let it bother me for too long. But seriously, can whoever is controlling the TV show that is my life give me a break? Thank you all for reading. I really appreciate it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. The prank story is a lie that your ex and brother came up with as an excuse to get you back together. Stick to your guns and move on with your life. It will not get better, only worse from here. Commenter 2. 100%. Original story says he came to her crying. That's pretty good acting for a prank. Even if he was actually lying for a prank, doubt it. Why would you stay with someone who would manipulate you and play with your feelings like that? How could you possibly trust him again? Reply, that's exactly what I told him. Why would he put so much effort into it if it isn't true? Commenter 3, OP, it sounds like you have no support in your town or from your family. Quietly look for a job somewhere else, then disappear without telling anyone where you went. Start fresh, without all the judgment. Reply, that'll be kind of difficult considering I go to school here. My town isn't a problem, I'm more upset that people outside my circle already know about it. I'll definitely be getting out of here after I graduate though. Commenter 4, phew man, what a wild update, haha, do you know the girl he cheated with? I'm like, this is all verifiable very easily, haha. Regardless, I'd stick to your guns like everyone else is saying. Reply, I considered looking but I felt it was pointless, and also I really didn't want to know what she looked like. I'm a black woman in a little white town, which I love, but I feel like it would hurt if I knew he cheated on me with someone who looked nothing like me. Stories number 25. Aita, for having no sympathy for my 37F husband 33M after he begged me for years to sleep with another man and now he's upset by it. Been with my husband for 12 years and pretty much from the start he told me he has a fantasy to watch me sleep with another man. He isn't the first man to ask me to do this, you'd be surprised how many men ask women to do this. The thing is though, my husband can be a little bit insecure to the point where I told him a year after we got together that I was thinking of leaving him because I can't deal with his constant questions of who someone is and how I know them every time they comment or like something on my socials. Or every time I mentioned someone at work he'd start making passive-aggressive comments. He got better and said he realized how much of a contradiction he was being. Mostly his insecurities have calmed down with the odd flare-up. About 3 years ago he really ramped up the asking me to sleep with another man. He'd mention it at least once a week and tell me which of his friends found me hot and stuff like that, and he'd talk dirty while we had sex about me and other men. About a year ago I caved a little and said as a test I'd start posting revealing pictures on socials and see how he handled it. So I started posting gym selfies and outfit pics of me wearing very revealing clothing. Then when we went to Ibiza I sunbathed topless and even posted a picture on my socials where it was obvious I was topless and captioned it, "Men don't like tan lines, do they?" He passed all these tests and never once reacted negatively. While in Ibiza we went clubbing and he watched me dance with other men and seemed like he really enjoyed it. Around 6 months ago I said okay but made him sign a piece of paper, obviously not legally binding but just trying to get it into his head that this can't be classed as cheating, it is a sex game to fulfill his fantasy. He said that all types of sex are okay and nothing is off limits and he will choose the man, so I can't be accused of any sort of cheating. He said he was fine with this. He's a big man, 6 feet 4 inches, and goes gym nearly every day. He chose a little skinny guy, 5 feet 5 inches, and not a bit of muscle on him. Anyway, tale as old as time, he wanted it, got it, and now isn't happy and is upset. He says I enjoyed myself too much, it was obvious I preferred the sex with the other guy, I was louder and gave him head longer, etc. etc. There's been numerous complaints. I've just shut him down every time and said I told him this is how it was going to go and he didn't listen to me, and I showed him numerous posts on Reddit of this exact thing happening. Men begging, their wives giving in, the men can't handle it and they blame the wife. I said that's not me, I'm not taking any blame. I did exactly what I was told to do. Sleep with another man and put on a show and act like a porn star. I did that, I held up my end, he isn't holding up his end of either enjoying it or accepting he asked for this. He's saying I'm being an asshole by showing no understanding or, in his words, taking accountability for my actions. He said if I knew this was going to happen I shouldn't have done it and should just keep saying no. It's like an adult who would purposely put his hand in a lion's cage and then crying it's been bitten off. Aita. Should I be more understanding? Update. A lot of the comments on my original post opened my eyes to the fact he was setting me up to be the bad guy and not enjoy myself to make himself look/feel better. Unfortunately his plan backfired as I enjoyed myself very much. I was leaning very heavily towards leaving him, but last night he asked me if he could pick someone else for me to fuck and we can try doing it again. I lost it and told him to get out my house and never come back. I've never been so angry with someone. He's messing with my head and that was the final straw. He's at his parents at the minute. I look forward to him telling everyone I cheated. Stories number 26. Got even in my own way. Decades ago, I was in a relationship with a guy who lived with his mother. Things got a little tangled in my life, and I ended up living with them for about 6 months. This was my first experience living with someone outside my family. I had a set of really nice roasting pans that were my favorite for lasagna or pot roast, etc., and I used them that year to cook Thanksgiving dinner. I had to work that night, so his mother told me she would get things cleaned up. I had no reason to doubt her, because the kitchen was always reasonably clean. Got back the next morning, things are put away in their usual spots, food safely stored in the fridge, the whole 9 yards. Christmas rolls around, I take my pans off the top of the fridge, and out of their sealed bags to find a moldy, congealed mess of nasty turkey leftovers still in my now destroyed pan. I moved out over the next couple days, but before I left, I duct taped a potato to the back of the least used drawer in the kitchen. Stories number 27. Employee is trying to force me to accept a loan I never asked for. Due to my spouse's disability and my working full-time, we hire a cleaner for 2 hours every week. She's pleasant but lacks punctuality and gossips non-stop. During one of these gossip sessions, my spouse told her that a machine he uses for a hobby recently died and he needed to buy a new one, at a cost of around $500. This is an amount that he could save in a couple of months or we could easily afford in a few weeks if we talked about setting some money aside from both of our incomes. It's not an issue. Our cleaner said, if you need help, just ask. My spouse responded, if I need help, I will. The next week the cleaner arrived and pressed $500 into his hand, saying, just pay me back at $50 a month. I was absolutely stunned. We're not poor. We're not rich, but we're definitely not poor. We can afford a cleaner. We could have easily afforded this machine if we made it a priority. I understood my spouse was currently saving for it. My spouse tried to give the money back, saying it was incredibly generous but we didn't need it. The cleaner said, I went to the bank just for you. If you don't want it, throw it in the bin. I'm absolutely stumped. This cleaner is my employee, we don't need the money, we never asked for it, and to even use it I would have to take time off from my full-time job to take my disabled spouse to the bank to deposit it, as the machine he wants can only be purchased online. We tried giving it back and I don't want to owe money to someone I employ. What on earth do I do now? Update. I wrote in about the employee my independent contractor cleaner trying to force me to accept a $500 cash loan I didn't ask for or indicate I wanted in any way. I already provided an update in the comments of that post. We didn't keep the money, we were able to insist she take it back that day. Here's my further update. We had to fire her. Not only was she perpetually late and left early, spent a quarter of her paid time standing around talking and saying we were being weird/off when we wouldn't fully engage with her during these rants, when I was supposed to be working/studying, and her quality had gone downhill despite me reminding her certain jobs that needed doing. She also decided to tell our close mutual friends Jack and Jill that we said something terrible about them. When Jill reached out to ask what the hell, we told her we didn't say anything about them and we didn't know what she was talking about, and she said our cleaner, who was also their cleaner, said we had a problem with them which we absolutely did not. Turns out our friends had newly rented a house from our cleaner, which if I had known in advance, I would have strongly recommended against. I knew they were moving, I just wasn't sure where. The cleaner was treating them like personal slaves, lying to them, and trying to manipulate them, to the point where Jill was having a breakdown from anxiety. She was using Jill's high opinion of us to manipulate her. I was so distraught that my friends thought we'd said terrible things about them that we went to the house that night to talk it over, only finding out once we'd arrived that it was being rented from my cleaner. After we figured out what was going on with her lying both to them and us, my spouse and I agreed we'd have to fire her and find someone new. Side note, we told our friends about her trying to force a loan on us, and they said that when she told them the story, because of course she did, she doubled the offer to $1,000 which my spouse had exclusively asked her for. He had only refused it because I was home, and then he'd yelled at her about it. No mention of throwing it in the bin, of course. So that week when the cleaner came to my house, my spouse was prepared to fire her. However, she was in a foul mood and spoiling for a fight, saying we disrespected her by going to her house and talking about her behind her back. She said, "This will be my last week," then, not expecting my husband to agree, which he did. She was expecting him to fall over apologizing and placate her, tell her she was wonderful, our friends were wrong, and that we'd do anything to keep her. She was in a textbook narcissistic rage, and when he wouldn't play her game, she went running back to Jack and Jill and told them we fired her, that I stood there and swore at her and said her work wasn't any good, I wasn't even home. My friends called her out on her lies, saying that behavior doesn't sound like me, and then in retaliation she literally kicked them out of the house they were renting, that they'd only just moved into. Our friends told my husband what she'd said and done, and he messaged the cleaner saying, "Look, you said it was your last week, but just to make it clear, I am terminating our agreement. Do not come back. Have a nice life." And then he had to block her because she kept messaging, saying she never said anything about us and sending nonsensical screenshots. Honestly, I'm not sure why she valued our opinion so highly, but I suspect it was all a weird game she was upset at losing. Then, after all that, she backflipped on the whole kicking our friends out of the house, and said they could stay if they did exactly as she said when she said it, including weird cleaning requests, demanding Jill go on walks with her, and telling one of them the other owed her money. Then she went to the house and found out they were packing to move again, and went through their rubbish and opened their mail and started a fight. Then she told our friends that she made up with my spouse and that she had gone to our house and told him everything, not nice things about my friends, and said he agreed with everything she said. My friend said to her, "That didn't happen, he's blocked you," and she had to go away, humiliated that she's no longer able to manipulate them. They moved out to a new house. I hired a new cleaner and he showed up on time, did an excellent job, and only spoke when he needed to. Stories number 28. Pregnant with dead boyfriend's baby. I'll try to make this short for everyone. Throwaway account for privacy reasons. I 24F have been dating a guy 25M well called Gabe for 3 years plus a year in high school. We reconnected at uni. I am close with his family and particularly his mother. Last month he passed away unexpectedly in a motorcycle accident. We are all devastated of course and heavily grieving. I'm still very much processing it all tbh. I realized last week my period was late, but I chalked it up to all the stress and emotions. I threw up today though and took a pregnancy test and it came back positive. Gabe and I were not open to having kids until we were much older, if even then. If he was alive I would be opting to abort. However, with the circumstances if I could go through with that. This baby is the last living piece of him. That being said, I am in no position to have a baby, nor do I want one. But Gabe was an only child. His mom and I have been even closer since his passing. I wouldn't be opposed to carrying this baby to term and then giving it to her if that was something she wanted, but is that something I should even offer? It feels like such a huge thing to ask someone who's grieving their child, and if she doesn't want it knowing the next option is abortion, I feel like that would put so much pressure on her to go through with it. That being said, I don't know if I could get an abortion and live with the guilt of not telling her and taking away that last piece of her son and her only chance for a grandchild. I don't even know how to process aborting his child, but I know I can't keep it. I'm also worried if I tell her that I could miscarry and cause even more grief. What should I do? Reddit. Should I tell her? Keep it to myself? I need to decide soon as my state doesn't allow abortion after a pretty early period. This is truly eating me up inside. I don't know how to grieve and handle this at once. Stories number 29. Who thinks like this? My husband's uncle passed away. He rightfully so, left everything to one of his granddaughter. First she had to deal with her deadbeat sperm donor. His own father had a protective order against him. They had not spoken in 5 years. Deadbeat sperm donor shows up expecting money and the house. Threatening to take her to court. Then texting asking for money. Now one of her second cousins texted her asking if him and his girlfriend could live in her grandpa's house. They even said they have no money. But they need to get out of living with all the other deadbeat adults in his branch of the family tree. Reason: they have no money, no jobs. They are also on okay terms with DSD, so a good bet is they would let him move in too. Good lord, the nerve. Stories number 30. Would you leave a job that's paying $140,000 per year that really only requires 2 hours of focus for a higher paying job? Advice. I've been with a company for 4 years now and I make over $120,000 per year plus bonus that equates to $140,000 per year. The job is easy that I really only need 2 hours per day to do my tasks. I have projects but they don't really have deadlines. I'm not a manager so I don't have people working for me. It's a pretty chill job. My only negative is that I get bored. I feel like I'm not growing as a person. There's less than 100 people in the company and I'm pretty much the right-hand man of the owner. He asks for my advice and we work together on any venture or projects. There's no growth. I just got a week extra PTO as a raise and 5% bump last month. So that's my growth there. What would you do? Keep the easy job that pays $140,000 a year or find a job that pays potentially more and challenging that helps you grow as a person. Edit. I'm getting a lot of DMs on what I do. I'm an industrial engineer working on site. I appreciate everyone's input even if they're brutally honest. A lot of people recommend hobbies outside of work. I got plenty. I play the guitar, piano, snowboard, model kits, travel, churning, cook, read books, workout. As for, why not a second job or business? I started and failed my consulting business. Mostly advertising on social medias. It's more niche than I expected. In addition, I've been looking at overemployed for a potential J2, married with kids. Late 30s. No bad debt. Edit 2, I'm back at work so I'll be able to answer any questions today. Stories number 31, force me to eat meat. Okay, I warned you. Matched energy. I saw this sub on social media and I thought I'd share this story. Also, I'm sorry for any spelling mistakes. So IF16 was in the school cafeteria with my friends and we were talking about something. We grabbed our plates and food. Our school is a rather small one so we don't have options except for the one meal that's served that day, and sat down at a table. That day we had some dish with meat, sauce and rice, and I, while still talking, casually started eating the rice with some of the sauce. My friend stared at me and asked why I wasn't eating the meat. I told her that I just don't eat meat much and hoped she would just nod and move on. Unfortunately for me, she didn't. She gave me this look and asked the typical, "Are you a vegetarian or something?" To which I replied no, because I am not. But I still get that question often. She asked why I wasn't eating the meat. I calmly told her that I just don't like most meat, but she pulled the, "How can you know you don't like it if you didn't even try it?" This question really pisses me off, but I kept calm. For context, I consider myself a bit of a picky eater, I'm willing to admit it, and am trying to eat more different things. But I also have hypersomnia, equals basically a heightened sense of smell, so some foods with strong aroma tend to be repelling to me, and I have autism which makes me dislike certain textures and smells. Now that I'm older I eat a lot more things than when I was a child. I used to be really picky. I calmly told her that I just don't want to eat something that already doesn't smell very appealing to me and won't try it. She didn't take that as an answer though and told me that I'd be wasting food and my parents' money by throwing it out and to just try it because it's good. That's when my nerves started slipping. I hate being pushed to do things, and especially when food is involved for a reason. More context, as I mentioned I was a small picky child, and when I was in kindergarten that applied to the food there too. I never outright refused to eat, but there were foods that I just didn't eat every bite of. One time, we were eating something with meat and sauce and I just did not like it. I ate some but not much. I wanted to go give my plate with the rest of my food to the lunch lady and put on my PJs before napping, but my teacher stopped me. I told her I didn't want any more and that I wasn't hungry. She wouldn't have that though, and forced me to try and eat. She wouldn't let me go and made me cry, before forcing more of the meat I didn't like into my mouth. At this point all my friends had gone to their little beds and were listening to a story. I started gagging and she told me to stop being a baby and just forced me more. After a few minutes more of that, she went to the toilet and I used my only chance to get rid of the food I still had left and ran to the lunch lady. Well, let's say I got yelled at after that, and the teacher was never as nice as before. It's probably thanks to that to this day I can't swallow a piece of meat that wasn't processed properly without gagging. I'm fine with meatloaf, sausages, ham and stuff like that, even the parts of chicken that aren't directly on the bone. But just beef, pork or other kinds that were just cut into cubes or slices and cooked, I can barely stand. The smell, texture and just it overall make my throat close up and feel sick. I told the friend that if she doesn't want me to throw up right in her plate that I rather not. There was still a joke to my tone, but I was serious. She didn't seem discouraged and told me that it's not that bad and to just try it. Me, knowing that other people throwing up makes her gag really easily, just took a deep breath and put a cube of the meat in my mouth. It didn't taste good as expected and the texture was disgusting. The smell of it filled my nose and I didn't last 3 seconds before my throat burned and I wanted to barf. It might seem disgusting, but I spat the meat back out, and almost choked as I stopped myself from vomiting. I looked at my friend and very visibly turned to her as I felt the urge to throw up raise in my throat again. She stared at me and turned a bit pale before looking away and gagging. She coughed and pushed her plate closer to her. "What's wrong? Didn't you say it's good?" She just gave me a look. "I don't want to waste food. Do you want the meat from my plate?" I offered. I know that it sounds disgusting since I spat out one of the pieces, but I hate being forced. The fiend quietly said, "I'm not hungry anymore." She didn't try to force me to eat meat ever since. Stories number 32. I tore into the interviewer. I've had it today with the stupidity of some hiring managers. The interviewer asked me why I was laid off twice in 1 year, and then made a stupid comment that he doesn't understand how the hiring manager even considered me for this role with such short employment periods. So I blew up at him and said, "It's clear you have no sense of what's going on around you and can't see how the bad decisions from management teams like yours are the reason companies are letting people go. Being laid off doesn't erase the effort I put into my work. I'm not interested in working for your company at all anymore." And I ended the video conference. I've never been so proud of myself for standing up for myself. I know that this hiring team will never see themselves as the problem. They will think of reposting this role for the third time, and at the same time, and they will complain about the pipeline. I passed the second interview because I had the skill set they were looking for. I didn't fake anything, and I didn't use Interview Hammer or any AI tools in the interview. I just used my experience and my skills. That's why I'm sure the fault was theirs, and I don't regret anything I did. I'm confident that my skills will put me in the right place one day, not in this toxic place. Stories number 33. Got the job. Not just one but 2 job offers came in today, both remote, but one is more money and permanent rather than seasonal. I am sorry if this sounds bragging. I felt the sting when I saw posts like mine and was still searching, but like the other posters I assume it's only because we want you to know it's possible. Just keep applying, watch for scams. Remember, anything other than Microsoft Teams or Zoom is most likely a scam. Especially if Signal app, or they reach out to you. Most important though, if it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. The main 3 sites I used were ZipRecruiter, Reconnecting, and Indeed. I tried the hiring cafe and would come and check here for jobs every so often. However, ZipRecruiter and now Reconnecting have both gotten me solid remote jobs with benefits and such. I start Monday. Wish me luck and keep your head up, please. I know getting those rejection letters suck, but if someone like me can do it, then none of you have any excuse. You all are most likely much more educated than me with job experiences that have more staying power. Don't blame what is a shitty job market on yourself. You are qualified, these bastards just want more for less. Stories number 34. Aita for telling my best friend I can't be her maid of honor if she insists on a child-free wedding but expects me to leave my newborn for 3 days. Me 32F and my best friend Sarah 32F have been close forever. She asked me to be her maid of honor for her wedding next year and I was super excited. Said yes right away, but a few weeks ago she said the whole wedding was gonna be child-free, like no kids at all, including babies. That's kinda a problem because I'm due to have my first baby 2 months before the wedding. I talked to her gently and let her know I'd love to be there for her, but I can't leave a newborn for 3 whole days. The wedding weekend includes travel, rehearsal dinner, bachelorette stuff, the whole thing. I told her I'd be breastfeeding and it just wouldn't be possible to leave my baby that long. She got really cold after that. Said I was making it about me and not caring about her biggest day. Then she told me I needed to pick between my baby and her wedding. I honestly don't think I'm being unreasonable, but now I'm feeling torn. Aita. Stories number 35. My best friend killed himself, and left only me a note, and it's destroyed me. I don't even know how and if I'll be able to put how I feel into words, but I feel like I'm about to explode and I need to talk about it. I was friends with this guy called Jay for 11 years. Since we were 7. He was genuinely the nicest person I knew. I have never, and doubt I ever will meet anyone as kind, and thoughtful and funny as him. Last week, I found out he ended his own life. I didn't even notice he was sad, I didn't notice anything was off. And that's killing me. If I had noticed I could have helped him. He posted a note through my door when I was out, and my parents picked it up and forgot to tell me for a few hours. As soon as I read the first few lines, I tried calling him, messaging him, and got no reply. I called his brother and he answered, and I told him about the note Jay left me and he was like, "Nah, he'll be alright." And said he's at work, and will be home later. His mum was at work too, so I had no idea what to do. So I told my dad, and he looked at the note and called the police. They took a while, but they eventually came round, saw the note, and decided to break the door of his house down to get inside. They found him hanging in the garage apparently. No notes for anyone else. Nothing at all. He only gave me a note, and then ended his life. The note was really long. And I wish I could just write it out word for word, because it was obvious he hadn't just wrote it the day before or something. The way he explained and worded everything, I don't even know how to explain it. He said how he felt like a loser because he was ugly. He definitely wasn't. He had no friends other than me, the only close family he had and loved didn't love him back, how he didn't have a job, never had a girlfriend etc. He said he felt extremely lonely, and like he was on his own. He said that he felt weak, because the problems he had are nothing compared to the problems of others in the world, and they just get on with their lives, but he couldn't. The rest of the letter was just talking about me and him. When we met, all of his favorite memories he had with me, and stuff like that. He wrote about how much he loved me, and that he'd had a crush on me for the longest time. I never knew this but never told me because he knew that I'd reject him, and I was the only person he had, and he didn't want to lose me. And at the end, he said he wrote me a letter because he cared about me the most in the world. But he said he didn't really know if I reciprocated, and that he'd convinced himself that I didn't. He said he hoped I didn't, because he doesn't want me to be sad now that he's gone. He thanked me for being his only light in his life for so long, and making it bearable. Every time I read it I can't help but sob uncontrollably. Even just reading what I've typed out now doesn't even come close to what he wrote for me. The way he explained everything breaks my heart, and I can't do it justice. The way he explained how he felt about me. What to say. The part that hurt me the most in his note is when he said he was unsure if I actually cared about him. Because looking back on it, I never told him how much I loved him, how much he meant to me. I just assumed he knew. I really wish I didn't assume, because maybe if I told him, he'd still be here. I've not known what to do since I found out. I want to cry, scream, and smash everything all at the same time. I'd never lost anyone before, and it's the worst pain I've ever felt. I've nearly passed out from crying a few times. I can't even explain how I feel right now. And I haven't really spoken to anyone about it for that reason, but I need to. So I'm trying here.